ulti's going to pop off from Oracle. Hook back in from Andros. Going to be charging up that epicenter. No one's getting out of here. That's 3 going down. Disruptor, he was de-warding. Look at the damage. Oracle buys back, sweet as honey, says the big boy bear, and they are going to just crush your high ground from this. What a massive fight.
Welcome back, ladies and gents, LPL Season 2. What a week to end on. The last week of the round robin. Oracle looking to set their dominant position. Toons Reborn grasping at their chances in a semi-final. What a last week to end it on. And putting you for all through the action here is me, GTH and Dota, and the WanderingBard. I am excited, man.
Yeah, me too. How could you not be, right? Like, you could barely script it any better. And I promise, of course, our matches are not scripted. But if we were to script it, I would drop this kind of vital underdog story to give us some excitement in our final week of regular play. Of course, we do have a few teams locked in for the finals already. Those will be coming up very soon, and we're all terrifically excited. But this week, it's all about Toons Reborn and their quest to make it from the bottom of the standings, where they were anchored just a few weeks ago. Then we had a major patch, and this team, which had been struggling to find their feet, building their chemistry across the season in some pretty hard-fought losses, just in the trenches there for a bit, have bounced back and now threaten to steal their way into the Final Four.
That's right. Even kind of some amazing games last week to lead us in. It's looking pretty big because, if we remember correctly, Need Uprising 2-0 FFY V2 and Eternal Discord going down 0-2 to Crossfire. More teams just really dominating in these final weeks here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these results have been very close fought between all of our top teams, and even just last week, we were seeing some real divisions open up between teams that looked close before. FFY V2 have continued their slide down the ladder, and that's what's left them in a position where they're vulnerable. If they've been able to take even one game off of Neats, which they look very much capable of doing for most of the season, then Toons would not have the window they do now. But unfortunately for FFY, their stumble may become someone else's opportunity. They have one more shot tonight to defend their place in the finals, and if they go down 0-2 against some tough opposition in Oracle AU, then it'll be up to Toons to Crossfire and claim their place.
That's right. If FFYV2 go 2-0 down to Oracle, Toons Reborn get that opportunity, but it is a big opportunity itself. It's against Crossfire, a massive team, but this first game, it's looking pretty epic itself. Oracle AU have been proven to be dominant. They've lost one game this entire season. FFYV2, they've been a little bit shaky, but when they bring it hard. And I believe this week, they've got their full solid squad going into the last week here.
Oh, that's a tantalizing thing to dangle in front of me, GDH, because of course we've been looking forward to this matchup all season. From like the very first week or the second week when we saw FFYV2 play for the first time, we realized they may be one of the very few teams who have a real shot of taking down Team Oracle, of course, just an incredibly dominant roster. And this FFYV2 squad has looked great throughout, but they have been inconsistent in bringing their full team of players. It's forced them to change around roles and picks, and that's led to them dropping a few games and ending up in the precarious position they are in now. So you couldn't have picked a better time to bring back your full-strength squad, because they will need it to take on Zemistry, Godot, Lord Boons, and the rest. These guys have been absolutely as dominant as advertised throughout the season, and especially when they get on their signature heroes. So both of these teams have shown, I'll say, inconsistency in the drafting phase, and I think that when they both have such highly skilled players, it might come down to who can kind of settle on a really strong lineup, a really good plan for the draft, and kind of get the edge in the lanes in there, because the mechanics are very equal, I think.
That's right. It's a very strong squad, and what we see from FFYV2, they know how to play around their players. Like, they need their players in certain positions to do it. Wynegod is very dominant in that mid role, and he needs the players to be working around between them, and we're going to actually be finding out straight away, because we're already into game one. We don't need to do any theorizing. We don't even need to do any hypothesizing, because the game is starting. But what's more important, though, is we're under a new patch. It is 7.27C for this game between these two squads here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been waiting for this patch now for a few weeks. We've been kind of foreshadowing it. We had another patch a couple of weeks ago. That was part A, I guess, of the patch. And due to the new sort of patch regime that Dota's under, that part of the new patch only affected items and the map itself, sort of general game mechanics. No heroes were meaningfully altered, which, you know, of course, if you've been playing Dota, the last few months we've been on sort of one version of the game that's been pretty figured out. So not changing heroes meant that not a lot shifted. We still continue to see the same strong picks. Now, IceFrog has really pushed the button, shaken everything up, and we're going to see some really different drafts this time around, I would hope.
Yeah, speaking of different drafts, we've got some different bands here. Starting off with the Tinker Techies band from FFYV2 on the other side. Bat Rider Void Spirit, and the first pick, okay, it's a classic. It's gonna be the Grimstroke for FFYV2.
Tinker and Techies are not two heroes I would have expected to be banned, least of all against Team Oracle. I mean, Techies they're kind of cheesy picks that create very interesting game styles. When I say interesting, some people are going to disagree with me. But against Team Oracle, right, like you would be scared of just their signature heroes, strong laners. These heroes don't need cheese to beat you. So curious that FFY choose those to ban.
Yeah, especially since Team Oracle have been known for first picking the Ember Spirit. And I believe Ember Spirit wasn't completely nerfed, and instead, they're going to go for something a little bit safer. It is the last week here, so no point's going to be dropped. Oracle opening with an Abaddon first pick. Are we looking at support Abaddon, core Abaddon, or are we just baiting an Abaddon here?
Dire team pick.
My default assumption whenever I see an Abaddon is that it is a support Abaddon. The hero is sort of strong. I definitely rate the core pick, but I just think that the hero's like most important offerings are its passive and its shield, the purge that you get. And you can do those from the supporting role while still being like this very difficult to deal with support, because your ultimate obviously grants you free survivability. And I think that the value of the core Abaddon option is just to make this pick less concrete. You know, your enemy can't just assume it's a support because you could flex it, even though we probably won't see it. On the other hand, the Wisp does change things. Sorry.
Yeah. Good regen. I do like the synergy they have with the shield and the extra HP for the miscall. So I have a very defensive support combo, if it is a defensive support combo, and they're going up against a Slark. Is that a good matchup here?
It's interesting. I don't think, obviously, Abaddon gets a little bit countered by Slark, especially if it is a core. Any hero whose main strength is in their survivability, their ability to just sort of sit there and tank hits, really kind of loses that against Slark because, of course, Slark is very happy to just punch a stationary target. You farm a ton of Essence Shift, and from there, you'll usually roll the fight. Abaddon, obviously, as a support, in particular, who you might look for control, doesn't really offer anything that can help handle the Slark, although if you do have another stun to set things up, I must say the Curse of Avernus as an easy-to-apply, long-lasting silence can give the Slark some issues. Just one more thing you have to try and manage in order to use your key abilities in a fight. But with the pick of the Io, I have to give this more credit at being a core Abaddon because, one, you don't want this as your support duo unless you have a very specific set of cores since they sort of share weaknesses. And two, Io tends to support what core Abaddon is particularly good at, which is really early team pushing. Like the Curse of Avernus is a great way to increase your whole team's damage versus towers. It works on buildings. And the Abaddon is naturally very tanky and quite a powerful fighting unit with only like one item. So you can basically move out of your lanes and immediately begin pushing towards the enemy base with intent to win the game. And that timing's pretty good against Slark. So FF5v2 must have something else up their sleeve to try and delay things if they fear that's the case.
5 seconds.
And the one thing they're also not doing is worrying about any IO combos here. They got a Beastmaster and a Phoenix being banned. They're focusing on this offlane situation because they're assuming that maybe there's about an IO is those supports there and they're just looking for a higher tempo in the offlane. Would you be worried to see what the classics really, the Gyrocopter coming out, the Lunas, all those things that just really get amped up hard? And then when you add Curse of Avernus on top of that, the attack speed is going to be insane. The pushing is going to be insane. Maybe FF5v2 need to kind of ban one of these heroes, especially since they already have their core, their position one already picked up.
Yeah, I definitely am with you on that, GTH. I think it's a great point, and the only things I can think of are either they're taking a kind of fatalistic approach. Like, there are a lot of good IO combos these days. It's not like back in the day when pretty much you had to do Tiny IO or Tiny Gyro and teams hadn't really practiced anything else. Like, you've by now seen almost every carry in the game successfully combine with that support hero. So maybe there's just that approach of, well, we can't ban every carry hero, every right clicker. Let's just try and think about this more strategically in what we pick. The other option is that we haven't actually seen a lot of IO, especially in the Australian scene recently. So even if it is making a comeback with this patch and this is sort of the crest of the wave, maybe FF5v2 are just sort of not respecting it as much because it's been out of the meta, and they're going to say, all right, well, show us you can remember how to play this, which is a definite risk against Oracle, I must say.
Well, I was about to say, and speaking of when it was in the meta, if we're going back to TI, and I think a few teams have been throwing it out there, the core IO, it may be a different build these days, but it's still possible. Do you think Team Oracle will be just throwing this out here in the final week here?
No. I mean, well, actually, the one thing I must say is this is a very important game to us, but to Team Oracle, as you mentioned, they've dropped one map
they're tough.
for the entire season, and they may be, taking this as an opportunity to, if not rest and relax and play a little more casually, then to explore certain picks. So if they think that maybe the time might be right for Core.io, this could be their test run for it in a competitive environment, and that would give FF5V2 an opening. But I'm not convinced that is the kind of thing you want to do if you care about this match a lot. That's what scrims are for.
10 seconds remaining.
Well, fair enough. We're going a little bit safe back with the Sapphire, but the other side, it's aggressive. It's Cass back on his Earth Spirit for FFYV2 here. The one thing I do worry about is if we're looking at lanes to gank, the best kill so far is an IO, but the Abaddon save, that shield, really stops Earth Spirit from being able to gank at least the Abaddon lane wherever he is. And if he's a support, he's next to a core, which means Earth Spirit is just going to be isolated to what? The potential mid laner that might be picked up to be ungankable as well?
Yeah, you're right. That's definitely a concern for ES. I think the fact that you have IO to try and gank is a really tasty idea, since that hero is a little bit defenseless against something as mobile and powerful in the early game as ES. But yeah, you definitely, as Team Oracle, I think, want to try and set up a mid lane that's hard to gank, because that would be the plan otherwise. As ES, even if you're forcing Abaddon to move around, Abaddon can do without levels, because, there's the value point in shield is level 1. The value point in curse is level 1. But the hero becomes much less effective if you can't level it up and get some items on it. You really become a very minor part in team fights. So Earth Spirit as a natural roamer can kind of force Abaddon to play his tempo and his game if there are multiple vulnerable lanes, because he just moves around so much better.
Well, we've got some different picks coming out here. The Mars being picked up by FF5V2 is a pretty comfortable pick here, but Team Oracle, they went back for a Tusk here. So, I mean, here we go. What are we doing here? One of these lane situations up, because these heroes could basically do anything at this point from Team Oracle. There's a whole bunch of flexibility here, and potentially I am liking the IO call, but it could be the hero that we've been waiting for, the core Tusk coming out from Team Oracle.
Yeah, they've definitely lined up what looks like 4 position 4 or 5 heroes, so that traditionally means early game focus, and they do have the strengths for it. I don't know if they have all of the pushing power I'd fully expect from the lineup yet, but certainly right now their team fighting looks relatively strong. I think they could either go back and pick up just a strong ranged carry, like you have a sniper or something in this lineup, or as you mentioned, a Luna, you're looking pretty good. Otherwise, you could just go even harder in this direction and just pick up something very fast moving and aggressive, because they do, for a team that seems to want to be this aggressive, lack a touch of initiation. You're pretty much just on the Tusk snowball. If you were to grab a Pangolier, say, if you could say a slot of Pangolier into the mid lane, maybe have safe lane Abaddon or safe lane IO if you're going to do something like that, off lane core Tusk, something along those lines. Then having another very aggressive hero who can constantly start fights and shares this early timing is going to help you just overwhelm FFYV2 completely, because they do have good team fighting, but Slark and Grimstroke both need levels. Earth Spirit isn't necessarily able to do a ton by himself to offset those weaknesses. Mars, FF5V2's lineup isn't going to crumble in the face of aggression, but definitely Oracle have it stronger right now. Banning out the Shadow Fiend as well.
Yeah, and straight into the Morphling for FFYV2 to finish it off. They've got double the carry to make it through, and that's kind of worrying against the early tempo and aggression that is possible from Team Oracle's draft so far.
Yes, is this mid Slark or mid Morphling?
I guess it depends on the matchup.
5 seconds.
I gotta go back and check the patch notes in case there was something weird where Morphling is a strong support now. Obviously this is, one of those features about the patch. Every hero got changed a lot, and you never know, people who have their long-time theories about heroes get a chance to try things out again in the sort of fresh environment of the new patch. But for FFYV2, this game does mean a lot. This is their season on the line, so they must be pretty confident in this pick. The last time I remember seeing a lineup that looked this greedy, it sort of came down to the laning phase, and I think that's what FFYV2 are gambling on again. But you picked the strongest laning team in the region to run it up against. So, wow, why God, lining up on the Morphling, we are hoping to return to peak FFYV2 form here, I think. And can Y God be the person who measures up to Zemistry in the mid?
Okay.
Death Prophet completing that early Death Ball lineup.
Yeah, that is scary, but Team Oracle, they haven't gone
more
completely insane, though. Yeah, they've got the core Snapfire, but it is carry Abaddon for Team Oracle and mid DP. So a little bit safe coming out from Team Oracle there, but does that give the opportunity for FFYV2 to have better lanes now, given the priority is a position 5 IO and a Snapfire Tusk off lane here? It's not the easiest lanes. I mean, the off lane seems all right for FFYV2 at least.
I'm not saying it's unwinnable, but because it always comes down to very small nuances, and Team Oracle's lanes are like unusual to say the least. Hard to predict, but FFYV2 is all about the lanes this time. Like, there's no question that unless they win the lanes, like especially if WideGod can somehow shut down Zemistry mid, maybe with some heavy roam from Kess, that will be really important because obviously the DP is like the anchor for this push. But if Death Prophet and Abaddon both have good lanes, this is going to be absolutely overwhelming. Like their push into these slow to scale core heroes, and even a hero like Grimstroke that's very position dependent and quite vulnerable to getting jumped on, up against cleansers and very tanky cores, there's not a lot they can do. They really need to arrest the momentum before it even starts.
Where did I go?
Well, I guess we're loading into this game, and this game is vital. As we've pointed out time and time again, FFYV2, they're holding on to their semi-final chances in this game, so they cannot drop any games here, especially coming up tonight. If Toons Reborn get the 2-0 against Crossfire, they might just take that semi-final spot away from FFYV2, so this game is crucial. No mistakes can be made at all for them, and for, credit, what's credit's worth, they've gone back to their comfort heroes. They've been playing a whole bunch of Earthspring, a whole bunch of Mars, a whole bunch of Morphling and Sark, so they are comfortable with these matchups. They know how to play this draft, and maybe that is enough for FFYV2 to be able to overcome Oracle's strengths, which we know is early, mid, and late.
Yeah, well, look, Oracle are very, very, very strong players overall, but if you had to pick out one thing that they've been doing particularly well, at least in the LPL, it's just outplaying their opponents mechanically in the laning phase. They are just so good at the little things about Dota, and over the course of a half-hour match, those little things very often add up to like a 100 gold per minute or 1,000 gold per minute gold lead that just ends the game. And FFYV2 actually do, from what we've seen of them, have the potential to match that. But in the last couple of weeks, we've seen them unable to get past like their own sort of draft fallbacks or inconsistent hero roles, player roles to actually show us the kind of really coordinated drafts they had in the first couple of weeks. And, since that patch has hit, we don't know how much time they've had to necessarily practice. So it's great they've got their core lineup back together. But there's a lot riding on, I'm going to just point out Kess specifically as like one of the very few players on this team who've seemed to remain consistent in their role and consistent in their picks. This is very much a signature Earth Spirit for him at this point. And like, it's really on him to buy everyone else the time to show us what they can do. The one positive I will say for them, as I somewhat favor Oracle's draft, is that I believe due to beating Toons 2-0 in their very first match that we watched this season, FFYV2 have the head-to-head in the tiebreakers, and they're already a game up. So one win out of these two matches against Oracle tonight will essentially eliminate Toons. Toons, their match tonight is only live if Oracle go 2-0 in this match.
Ooh, so it is still on the line, because saying taking a game off Oracle, that's still massive.
Oh yeah, that's the
one game overall.
Exactly,
so
right? Like every team has been 2-0'd by Oracle except Crossfire. So to say, all they need to do is take a game off of the reigning dominant favorites, right after a new patch when they have barely had a full roster for the last month. That's no small feat. So definitely a real challenge to FFYV2. If they do secure their spot, it will be earned. As heartbreaking as it is for a team like Toons to make a big run back and then be denied, right? Like, FFYV2 have won games as well. They've played very well. They're a strong team, and they deserve their shot. Now we'll see them take it.
That's right, and we'll see him on Crystal Clear Vision, because right now, our sponsor, Conquer, is sponsoring this season of LPL, and if you're looking to watch this game in Crystal Clear Vision with the monitors that are just worth the money, it's just perfect to watch Dota, perfect to play Dota, perfect to see every single esports game you've ever wanted to see. Conquer, our monitor partner, will give you the value and the quality hardware you're looking for, and they're sponsoring this season of the LPL, this massive season of the LPL that is just looking even more massive as we're coming on. We keep on hyping it up every single time. The drafts are just going nuts. At least this week to start off, I really couldn't have picked off this Abaddon core coming up, but actually this aggression from the tri-lane of FFYV2 to start it off. They're going to get the Sark going up top. They're going to be giving away the runes in the bottom and actually giving away in the top. Do you like this aggressive tri-lane start from FFYV2 to shut down this Abaddon, who, if I remember correctly, AGN, who did play their own core Abaddon, when he got shut down in the lane, that man could not recover his farm at all. He did lose a little bit, but he was luckily picked up by, I believe, a Medusa pickup from AGN in the end.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you pick an Abaddon, right, its drawback is that it is not really a great farmer. You can farm with your W, like, you've got technically an AoE, and you hit creeps all right, but it's just not got a steroid. There's no, like, way to farm. You're not buying a Battle Fury, so, you know, it's very much a hero where you want to get ahead at the start of the game and then stay ahead for the rest of the game, which is hopefully not that long. But you also don't normally pick it because of that as your primary core heroes. Like you said, the other game, well, we were actually drafting around a Medusa, and that hero did fine. This Abaddon, almost a decoy core in a lot of matchups. I don't think that's the case here. There's not like a supremely powerful late game carry that the Abaddon exists basically as a glorified support for. The Death Prophet is going to have her own very strong timing and is definitely, I'd say, the focal point, but the Abaddon needs to be strong as well to be up there alongside her and really make it an unstoppable push for Oracle. I like the tri-lane because you really need to do something to break up the sort of default lane positions, but it looks like we're already splitting that tri-lane apart because, of course, Kess is going to need to roam hard on this ES, so he cannot limit his impact to just one lane. Kind of needs to be the everywhere man in this first 10 minutes.
And the one thing that Oracle instantly did as soon as they saw the Slark is they swapped the lanes. So Lucius Elf is bottom, and they sent Kelvin up top, so Slark is not going to get a single stack from this Snapfire.
Yeah, we mentioned that the Slark is a great matchup against the Abaddon, and I just wanted to clarify before anything else happens, that's after the laning phase. Like in a team fight against a support Abaddon, where you just like punch him in borrowed time, terrific. In the laning phase, it's the opposite. The Abaddon, with all his stats and armor and his silence passive, just runs and punches you. And like, what are you going to do? Spend mana and health running away? You know, give up the creeps, stand there and get silenced? Like, these are all terrible options.
Well, it seems like they're taking the best option out of it and said, screw it, we're not going to do it. But Chestnut, he's not getting any options right now as they run him down. Double stun comes out. Massway getting some more stun from Martino, but the roll is going to be a little too late. They get the first blood onto Chestnut, and Martino's trying to run. Pounce was added up with the stun, so it looks like Tusk is going to get away scot-free. But right now, they're not looking free because the first blood was given straight to Team Oracle to start it off.
Yeah, Kess is already on the roam, has already been top, then mid, then top again, but all it's doing is like slightly slowing down the ground that they're giving right now. Like, we see Wygod in the lane being viciously harassed close to death several times just by the Spirit Siphon out of the Death Prophet, you know, Zemistry with no mercy. And I don't know whether that'll hold up because Morphling's this, like, very elastic hero and can bounce back easily in the laning phase once he gets a couple more levels, but I don't know if DP is going to like slack off either, so potentially a really hard lane here for FFYV2, and if the Morphling gets shut down, that's like one more hero they can't rely on in the mid game to provide damage.
Well, out of all the lanes they're going for, it looks like Slark's having a fantastic time top. He's got 15-7. From the actual lane swap itself, they gave the opportunity for Slark to get some XP, get some last hits, get some denies to overtake Kelvin, who's only got 5 last in the top lane. But if we're reflecting in the bottom, we've only got 7 last hits on the Mars himself. But bottom lane, only 2 denies. So it seems like we have a core IO, but the other side, Roll's going to miss in the top lane here. Same for on Chestnut, so no kill on the bottom. But look, Lord Boons, he's actually playing the carry role here, and Lose Yourself is playing the support.
I'm sure Boons absolutely backs himself to do anything Ana can do, so this might be a point of pride for him, but it's a great flex in the draft, right? And the thing is, the Abaddon and the IO kind of fulfill fundamentally similar roles. They both provide very similar things as cores and support, so really it's just your pick of who you think is going to be slightly better off in this matchup. And look at this lane combo go, blending down the Mars.
Exactly what you said. It's just chase them down, silence them, keep on hitting them down, and you don't need that Abaddon to be called to do it. You get the attack speed from the IO anyway, so it's like you have 2 cores anyway.
Yeah, thinking about it more, honestly, like, because you managed to pick up this Death Prophet, right, like, that is your pushing power, and you wonder, like, when you need an early game timing, you say, well, how does my team win team fights, how do I damage heroes, and how do I kill buildings? Like, because obviously you need to be able to take those objectives. The Death Prophet, buildings are covered, right? You're just going to use Exorcism, easy done. And of course, the Abaddon provides passive regardless of position, so that's great. But then in team fights, oh, hang on. Hail? Where's yourself?
He's just behind a tier 1 tower.
Well, he's only taking a roll.
That's true.
He's like, this is what supports do, right? Whenever I play with supports, they feed. I'm meant to feed in this role.
Are fortified.
Yeah, because if you're feeding, your carry's not feeding. It's like you're taking a death away from them.
Exactly. You're like giving your carry an extra life by running under tower and dying.
Well, Chestnut can't get behind his now because he's dead. Snowball wants a shotgun, blows him apart, and he's gone as well. So 1 kill on the bottom, gets stranded for a kill on the top. WanderingBard still being pressured in the mid, but the runes are up, and Kess in a fantastic position to secure both bottom bounties. Even the top runes too. Masterway are in a good position to get 3 for themselves, probably 4, all 4 runes. Okay, Zemistry is chasing WanderingBard now, but nice stun back. Gets him back to save. So the gold is yours. The control might be there, but Masterway, all right, he can't get a kill. Martino because the stroke of fate's a little bit off the mark there, but he's going to be chasing forward because he's got the spells back up. And now with the tag team coming, actually Inkspell's going to be there, but Snowball to dodge again. Fantastic combination. Can they get sucked? Gonna get the tusk? No, he's going to be solving up. The dodge comes in, he moves back in, but he sacrificed own life to Massaway, and the shard block saves him. He's good. He's good to go. Sark lives another day. Oh man. That shard block to save or get the kill costs everything to Martino.
Yeah, we can see Oracle. They're definitely having a bit of fun. I'm not by no means are they not trying to win, but you can see like look at them going for the big plays and stuff like that. Unfortunately, Slark is great. This going. Now Calvin still there.
Whoa!
So
he wanted Masterway so hard, couldn't get it.
I think this is the difference between a team with everything to play for and a team playing largely for pride in this match. It's you're more tempted if you have this like 50-50 risk with a high risk, high reward play. Oracle are going to go for that every time, both in the draft with this IO core and in the moment. Normally, I don't think if they were the team facing elimination, you would keep your core Snapfire round or your Snapfire round and just shoot at that slot.
Kess going in, getting the kick. It seems like DP's got a whole bunch of HP, so maybe you turn your back, lose up, or you're going to be arrived to keep the HP all the way back to DP. It's like you never even turned up. At least you forced a rotation from the Abaddon there, but didn't really cost Oracle too much because Lord Boons is still feeling strong in the bottom lane. So much net worth over this monster. Helmet of Dominator is going to arrive so fast. He's got it. He's already got it. He's got the troll pickup, and his timings are coming here. Actually, what is the typical build for IO these days? I know Ags used to be, but I don't think that's as popular as it used to be.
I mean, the typical build for IO is not to play it as a core, so you're already asking me to go out on a limb here by picking something here, and who knows what Lord Boons is going to do, right? Like, he doesn't care what the accepted wisdom is. If he's got a build that he thinks is strong, he's going to do it. Looks like he's going for Soul Ring first, but I do think that the build, actually, that you bring it up, is the main reason for choosing the IO as the core over the Abaddon, even more so than any particular hero matchup. Just when you consider what items a core Abaddon tends to buy, it's sort of still... Oh, actually, we're going on Lord Boons now, but there's an Abaddon hiding here.
Shielded, roll comes through, but IO's so tanky. He's a strength. Course Sark's coming down for the party, but he gets a creep and moves on back. So IO absolutely fine. Lose yourself saving the day there. So maybe you don't get the kill, but you get 200 gold for your troubles and a rotation from the Sark, which seems a little bit awkward there.
Tell you what, we're going to make a support player out of this Lose Yourself fella just yet. That was some really nice positioning. Chooses to enter the lane, but like not actually show himself, not actually move forward to harass the Mars. Sense that at level 6, and with all the pressure on them, like FF5v2 have to do something aggressive because like the passive status quo in this laning phase is so bad for them. So they just anticipate, already have the Abaddon there, and between Abaddon and Wisp, like how do you get any kills right now? And with Lord Boons, I expect he's going to actually build into Helm and hopefully like a Mech or Greaves, because if they rush these defensive items, that really makes their team invincible.
Is under attack.
Well, we're going to be a little bit worried here because these lanes are going pretty fantastically now for Team Oracle. What was a pretty good start, right start for WanderingBard, has been overtaken by Zemistry 42-16. So it looks like bottom lane they might be trying to keep Masterway in it, but he's looking to go for IO, I believe. They got 3 heroes in the bottom lane for the sole IO, but can they pick it off the roll? A little bit too short. We're walking, we're running, we're kicking, but the kick is off the mark. The stun is off the mark, and Lord Boons is fine. 3 heroes committed. 3 heroes get absolutely nothing except for an angry Lord Boons who chases you down behind Joel. In fact, lose yourself, waiting for the pounce so he can pounce it off. Martino is over here. Kelvin actually coming down too. Everybody is arriving, but who is going to be dying? Lord Boons is finally pounced, but instantly leaves, but doesn't even die. We're going to get a shutdown down for the side for a couple more seconds, but nice shard block coming in. The Snowball and the Kizzes. It's raining down, but can Slark run? No, he's going to get blown up anyway. Taken down, Matsway tipped on top, and now you've got to run. IO is chasing you down. The troll is looking. The creeps are hitting your blast. Hits Kess, but he rolls away to safety. But Oracle are putting that pressure on. It's not even 10 minutes. They're moving as 4, taking your towers, while Zemistry is manning up in the mid lane, looking to take its own tier 1 and kick WanderingBard right on out of there.
Oh, there was an arena at bottom, but it doesn't seem to have done anything. The sustainability, the combination of strength heroes and mass healing, you know, even with Lord Boons amplifying that healing as the IO, seems like it's really challenging FFY's ability to deal damage. And I'm afraid it's just these picks. Going back for the Morphling last pick, I can only assume was meant to try and give them a real source of nuke damage in the mid game while securing their late, but I feel it may have been too greedy. We've seen a lot of these like multi-core lineups where rather than actually pick early game heroes, you kind of just hope you can coast through and be slightly stronger than you need to be to stay alive in the mid game. But Oracle have just doubled down on their mid game push, and that means that, okay, we're giving up on the late game completely, but how are you ever going to reach there? This game is going to be so tough for the next 15 minutes.
Oh, it's seeming really tough, but the gold lead isn't too insane. It's less than 1k between, and Massway is still farming up pretty strongly. 49-15, going for the Echo Saber first. But then again, Silver Edge is a fantastic item for Sark these days. It seems to be one of the natural items he can build, and there's some pretty good passives to break as well.
Yeah, it's such a great item for Slark naturally, and now that in the last patch the items were changed to affect the build-up, it's even easier for him to build it pretty much every game now as a core item. But I do worry, you mentioned the golds even, that's going to be a natural consequence as Oracle's lineup forces them to group up and take objectives, whereas FF5v2, they would hope split farming on multiple heroes. The issue is, how quickly can they convert that gold into a real edge in fights? Because just fundamentally, the Oracle heroes use their gold so much better at this point in the game and are just stronger overall.
It seems like they are right now because these lanes aren't too pressured. In fact, nobody's moving, but the mid lane is where the action is happening. Moving forward in, Lose Yourself has 1 point, Gusty Avernus, so he just hits your tower 4 times and gets the attack speed for his entire team. Speaking of his team, it has a counterpoint, so this tower's crumbling really fast. Oracle taking another tower for their list, but taking the opportunity to go and top. The roll is good, Sun's going to be there, so we can't actually sub when he still bounce up, but the damage going to be there. No, 3 TP to 4 heroes coming in. Zemistry already up and Sun's on the side, but Sun's going to be done in a moment. We need a pounce. 11 second Shadow Dance is going to be there. Then with the TP out, do they have the damage? He's gone. He's good. Kess is running too. You can't chain him down. You don't have control between you because Snapfire is raining down the pain. So both of them escape scot-free. You get yourself a ton. So a fantastic kill for FFYV2. And that is one of the downsides that you did point out on the draft side. It seems like they do really rely on that snowball for the initiation and the control there, because the other stun they've got is a Snapfire cookie.
Yeah, they really are more
they're
about
still
it.
going forward. Not even done. Silence. Martino's dead. Charging more. We could pick the creep if we want, but we want Lord Boons instead. But he moves faster. Break that tether. Go for the creep. Move on back. We're good. He's fine. He's happy to go for it. But yeah, the control is really looking like a downside here.
Yeah, I mean, like, we've talked about this time and again what that means for our lineup. If you don't pick stuns in your strong team fighting lineup, that means you have to be objective focused, because that becomes your way to force fights. You're not jumping the enemy, you're daring them to jump you. And Oracle's lineup is great for that. I think their lineup is rock solid. They just know what they want to do. But it does mean that in these engagements around the map, they do really struggle to control heroes like the Slark. And I almost question the decision to all TP to that tower. Like, that was a really smart move by FFYV2. That's what they need to be doing. It's kind of like indirect delaying tactics. They can't fight Oracle head on, so they need to pick other spots in the map to do something to try and disrupt Oracle's push and distract them from their objectives. It was only a support kill, though. So you kind of wonder, like, was it worth compounding the loss by teleporting all your heroes out of the lane up there to not get the follow-up kill?
I guess the one thing they do have right now is time, and Slark is using that to farm all the stacks they've got in the jungles. They're really just trying to hypercharge this Slark to make sure that he can fight so early, and the net worths right now, they're looking pretty good. If we're looking at the differences here, Morphling and Slark are doing great. Mars is a little bit further back, but he's evened up with Kelvin. This game seems completely even here. But if it's even, aren't you worried as Team Oracle?
Yes and no. As so often happens when you were meant to dominate the early game, you have a fundamentally stronger lineup, but the gold lead doesn't reflect that. It doesn't mean you're behind. What it does mean is that you do not have a lot of second chances. Like, FF5v2 are still weaker for now, but this Slark and Morphling, they can get kills. These heroes have damaging abilities. They scale pretty well in terms of damage with their first item. They just tend to not be able to take prolonged fights. But within the scope of the Slark ultimate, the Morphling shotgun combo, once he gets it, I'm sure that's what they're going for with Grimstroke, they can get kills. So they can punish Oracle if they mess up. And it means that if Oracle don't keep pushing and keep closing out their timing, FF5v2 are always right there ready to, reach the point where they overfarm and stabilize the game and sort of put Oracle on the back foot, probably for good.
And right now, we're going to be trying to get some ground and some control back. Lose yourself, Zemstry. They got smoked up together with Martino hiding on in, and there's a big, juicy Mars in the area. Beginning to take down the shards land perfectly to Snowballs. Waiting there, put the arena down. Maybe we can turn this far for Stroke Fade back. Get CPs in. We've got 2 supports going up against 4 heroes on the side of Team Oracle, and it ain't looking good. Gets getting drained slowly by Zemstry in the back. He drops another rock, but it ain't going to do much. You lose a double kill here. Maybe even another tower being taken by Team Oracle. I mean, Morphling and Slark did not have to show. Wygod was able to take the tower top. Slark was able to pressure mid quite a bit, but Boons is actually chasing him down. It's a Slark being chased by an IO and a little bit of creep here, but damage. Okay, maybe still a rune here, but Lord Boons is now going to be trying to hit you back. He's got the damage. He's got a whole bunch of it. You've got to be scared of it. You're not really worried about an IO too much, but the ball's going to be hitting you. The troll's going to be back in with this shockwave. He's got it. Lord Boons just solos you.
Wow,
He
and now
chases you
Wygod's going
across
to
the
tangle
map
with the
and
IO?
destroys you. Can he do it? It's a core versus an IO, but no, he just plays him. He just tethers all the way to his creep back to safety. Lord Boons is a god on this IO.
Yeah, I mean, look, this actually is a terrific matchup against Slark. I mean, you don't often get the situation where you're one out with a core Slark in the middle of nowhere and his team can't come, but like, in terms of providing very consistent damage, having very high attack speed, lots of healing, and this chase power on the Wisp with the vision it grants, that's kind of the perfect counter to a Slark there. You saw the Slark, his panic buttons didn't really help and he just gets run down. This is what core IO is all about. And Lord Boon's making great use of that. Has built up the Maelstrom now, so a more traditional attack speed build. I wondered if we'd see the armlet come out. That sort of used to be the item that could be used to supercharge Wisp as one of the rare ranged strength heroes who can really utilize the item well. The extra attack speed never hurts, but looks like we're just going for the farming build, and it is going to be their one position going into the late game. Very interesting.
Is under attack.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be hurting them too much. They're doing fine on him. He's top net worth as the IO, but the other heroes are doing fine. Morphling didn't die there, so he's been farming the entire time. The E-Blade is coming. Cass is working on the Spirit Vessel. Grimstroke is just getting that XP. He's level 6, so Soulbind is here, so the abilities will be able to explode if they decide to take a fight here. But the one thing from FF1v2, they've been quite stagnant in their approaches here. No smokes from them. They've kind of just been approaching as a team, going back as a team, and not trying to make too many plays. It seems like they're just trying to farm this game out, knowing that they do have the late game here.
I mean, that's sort of what they locked themselves into with this draft, right? And especially Oracle then closed that door, whereby, by picking such a strong early team fighting lineup. FF5v2, they made that gank on the top tower before, so we know they'll go for it if they see an opportunity. They do have the smoke on the Grimstroke, but at least until Wygod has the E-Blade. Oh wait, hang on.
Nice roll, nice damage. Adaptive strike, silence isn't enough. The kick is off the mark, but it doesn't matter because Wind Dog blows you away. 27 seconds away from Martino. A great kill from FF5v2, and it is proving that they are willing to be active. They just are working to their timers.
They just need to see that the hero can't get any support because they cannot afford for like a gank on a support to devolve into a team fight. They were lucky to escape from that fight under the top tier 1. That one was a lot safer because the only point to TP to is the outpost, which of course takes like 7 seconds. So as long as they can know that they're going to blow that hero up really quick, it's worth it to go for these kills because that slows down any potential push. But otherwise, they do just want to farm and screen. And we even saw at bottom lane, it was kind of a curious half defense. They moved in a bunch of heroes and essentially sacrificed them, which is normally what you never want to do. You don't teleport to a tower that's already under siege when your team's not in position there to defend it. But I think by moving the heroes there, just by forcing Oracle to kind of commit their ultimates, commit the exorcism and take a fight, to them it's worth it. So they really are like spending lives to buy time here for their carries.
Well, right now the smoke from FF5v2 is going to end up being nothing because they had ward vision the entire time. They saw them morphling the earth spread. So Lord Boons is just Lord Boons' Zemstry getting the complete hell out of there. They're not going to be caught out in those kills. They kind of wanted it. So 3 heroes in the middle of the river with a Roshan just hanging there. Maybe you do it. You've got the DD on the morphling. It is going down pretty fast and you need to react pretty quickly if you are Team Oracle. They've got 4 heroes in the mid lane. Can they arrive in time? They've smoked up. They're moving. They're trying to get in position, but is it going to be in time enough? Lord Boons is still pushing out this mid wave with the Centaur creep. They need to react. They need to be able to get there fast enough. Martino's in position. It's almost done. 2 more hits from Wygod will be done. Martino walks right on in, gets silenced up instantly. Roche is gone to him. Martino is dead. They've lost a touch of instant buyback. They want to take this fight for some reason. Actually, nice spear on the Boots and Shane with the Soulbind as well. They need some extra damage, and DD is still working on the Morphling. He just needs positioning, and Massaway will find it with the control whip. The magnetized blowing up. The kick is good. Cass gets himself the eye, and now Zemetry is getting blown apart. Can he get away? The shield from Blue Self saves his life, but now Stroke Fate can't even do it. They pop the Aegis. Massaway is just standing there, waiting there, invis, waiting for something to happen, and with the cookie, it gets a double stun of damage from Zemetry. He's still still in the area. The Exum is blasting and blasting upon FFYV2 as they get chased on back. WanderingBard gets put down, and Oracle end up taking a fantastic fight while being an Aegis down. They're going to get the Slark here. He's trying to pretend to be Invis. They know exactly where he is. They're just in a little bit of control. And with Zemetry waiting around for a few ghosts, they'll get it eventually. He's running, he's pouncing, he's hit by a shield. But with the cookie going, it won't hit Slark. He's taking them on a journey. But it seems like a journey of pain as Massaway gets hit by the tag team punch to the roof and taken down 2. Okay. He got the Shadow Blade. He got the Shadow Blade. He's good. He's gone.
Oh, Boone.
He got the Shadow Blade by the courier. His courier arrives, delivered him his saving grace.
Wow. How is Boone's not bringing protection? I mean, I understand he's playing the core role today, but you know, you're meant to be one of the best supports in the country. Like, you know, carry that dust, Boones. You can do it.
Yeah, you don't need to be a very possible.
What a sequence of play that just was. Like, FFYV2, you know, they miss the smoke, but they find the DD rune. They make the snap decision to go for the Roshan, which is a great call, right? They need to do something a little risky like that, and it was a great chance with the rune. I think there was vision of the rune being taken, right, for Oracle, so they knew that the Rosh was happening. They just kind of grouped up a little too slowly. I was shocked at how long it took them to react. They know how fast full Agi DD Morphling can chew apart Roshan, even with this early in the game, and that's now allowed WanderingBard to hit this critical timing of the Ethereal Blade, so it instantly destroy the Tusk, and the Slark get onto and kill Lord Boons' Wisp, and it was only through some very slick use of that high ground choke point and a bit of good luck that I think Oracle were able to turn the fight around. They are still the stronger lineup, but you know, we can see the Morphling is now the top net worth in the game. The Slark's not far off either, and we saw there that the Wisp, you know, as cool as it looked running down the Slark before, a little vulnerable in a teamfight environment.
Yeah, it was a little bit scary. We were hyping up the Eye. It seemed like a very good hero when it is taking advantage of you. But when you take advantage of it, it just blows up like a balloon. And FF1v2, they may have lost a few heroes that they didn't expect to, but they still kept the cycle alive. They got some more space coming out. Morphling is now top net worth as we're heading through the mid game, getting closer to the late game. So things are looking pretty bright for FF1v2 here. Do you think Oracle really needs to start playing a little bit more aggressive here? They've taken 1 tier 2, but there's still 2 standing.
Yeah, I mean, look, FF5v2 have done their best to make Oracle cautious by making plays around the map, killing their supports. Oracle are respecting them clearly, but I have been asking myself for the last few minutes, what timing are Oracle playing towards, right? They have these very unusual core heroes. What is this Snapfire buying? Is it, you know, the Aghanims? Is it a Kaya and Sange or something? Like, is she building right click and hoping to build around the little shredder, that sort of very underutilized skill? Because, you know, they must be waiting for something. If they were just pushing around Death Prophet and Io, they would have bought the mechanism like I suggested and pushed much sooner. It seems as though they've got a specific timing in mind, and the Io does have the Wisp now, so maybe that's it, but I would like to see them make a move sooner rather than later for sure.
Yeah, the Ags have arrived. The talent isn't there yet, so maybe they're taking a little bit of a slower play here, but it seems like it will hurt them in the long run because Slark is still farming. He can get his own BKB. Morphling is about to pick up his BKB. Mars, who's had a bit of a rough game himself, he's working on a BKB soon, so magic immunity is about to arrive, and they've got fantastic burst damage, as we're pointed out, so if DP doesn't have her own BKB, or if she's caught by surprise, maybe they can just blow her up, and then if she's where most of your net worth is, can an IO carry a team fight?
I'm imagining we're going to see something really goofy, and that's half of why I thought about the Snapfire Aghanims. I mean, it's not quite the Pudge Ags, but you can eat your Death Prophet, and, you know, use that as sort of a defensive ability, as well as a stun then. But so I imagine they're probably going to do something funky like that on Oracle's side. But yeah, I would have liked to see them pushing already, as they actually kill Lord Boons in the jungle. They found him alone. Was that a ward vision? Or just a good smoke?
Yep, that was a ward come down.
Looks like a blind
smoke.
smoke.
It's the most valuable ward that I've seen in Amwood. Yeah, 3 mana, and actually Masterway cuts the attention away. They think they're going for Kelvin in the bottom, and Zomatino is going to try and save him, which means they had the opportunity to go for Boons. Nice little high five there. That's some comradeship. But I'm looking at a tower in the mid lane that's looking like it's about to crumble here, and Chestnut in a perfect position, just going to silence him up. But we're seeing Masterway goes on in. There's no sentry placed down. He finds himself a Tusk and a bow up. Almost going to come. The silence is good. Keeps him up. Morphling isn't going to be putting it agile strength yet, but he's manning on up his BKB. He's only got a few more seconds going. The kisses are arriving, but aren't they killing? Wygod, BKB, it's about to be done. Does get himself a Tusk in the end, but Matsway is still running himself. He's regenerating a little bit. The XM is being used and just trying to get away from this fight. If you lose Kess, maybe that's good enough. You're taking a Tusk. Your very Lord Boons is still dead. He's about to ride back up, so you get the kills. You escape with every hero. You force the attention, you force the abilities, and you save yourself more time.
Okay, so it looks like the reason we didn't end up seeing that defensive healing build on the IO is that Calvin has actually used his farm as the core Snapfire to build a fast Guardian Grace. Essentially just the normal support item you would build, but, you know, quicker. And that's good. Obviously, the synergy between IO and the AoE healing of the Greaves works just as well, whether, you know, Boons is holding it or someone else, and Boons probably a better auto attacker than Snapfire, Little Shredder aside. But you do have to wonder then, like, why are we holding off so much on this push? Like, is the IO talent worth it? And surely, even if that is the peak of your power, knowing that FF5v2 have kept up well on farm, that their cores are strong, that they're approaching these BKB timings, as you mentioned, you want to hit that peak exactly when you're breaking high ground, with the tier 2s already down and the team in position to go. Not hit it and then start getting together for a push, because every second really feels like it counts. They're running out of time here.
Scotty is coming. Morphling is feeling massive. And Matsway, he's getting massive. I mean, IO and DP are still up there, but if we're going a little bit further down, we see Kelvin, who's fallen a bit behind the bars, and then we go to Lose Yourself, who's got more farm than the Tusk, and those supports kind of need some items too. I mean, Vlad's Tusk with a Blink BKB, Solar Crest, all these items that help enable these heroes to make the ganks or take these team fights here, because they need something a little bit extra, it seems, because all these heroes on FF1v2 keep on getting away.
I think, well, I mean, Oracle are not taking the types of fights that benefit their team, right? We talked about it. They're not good at fighting in the open field. They're not good at catching heroes. FF5v2 picked these very slippery cores in Slark and Morphling. But that means that they're good at avoiding fights. So Oracle, it looked like their advantage was going to be forcing fights by attacking towers. They just haven't attacked the towers, so there's been no reason for FF5v2 to actually fight. We've consistently seen these cores, you know, pick and choose when they want to kill the Tusk, when they want to just ult and teleport away, and that game plan is going to work perfectly until you stop it by making them fight over something they can't afford to give up, their tier 3 towers.
That's right, they're going to be trying to force tier 2 tower here. Zemistry, Kelvin, Matino, all use yourself, all in position to kind of pressure it as they can. They don't really have X's ready to go, but I believe DP has some Agadons, so a little bit extra help is going to be there, but the tower is still standing strong for now. Defense there from F1v2 is already in position. Massaway isn't there yet, but Wygod is TPing. No, he's farming. He's just farming. They're avoiding it. They're sacrificing this tower. They've still got a tier 2 in the top, and the BKB has been picked up by Slark, so F1v2 aren't taking the bait.
No, they don't want. They want to delay the fight as late as possible, even if they are starting to get strong. And we saw before with that fight around the Roche Pit how close they are to, you know, overpowering this Oracle team. There's no reason for them to fight sooner rather than later. It's kind of the opposite of what I said before. At this point in the game, the Morphling and the Slark use gold far better than the cores of Oracle. So farming is pulling their lead further and further ahead. But now they must have to come back because they're going to get up a rack pretty quick.
Yeah, it's melted. The tower's halfway done already. Did it even have Glyph? It's melted. Okay, Glyph comes out, saves it for now. They move on back. They force the Glyph out, but haven't forced any reactions from FF1v2 yet. Wygod has TP'd. Massaway has finally TP'd as well. Do they want to take the fight in the middle of the Exorcism here with everybody waiting in the backlines? There's a position that Oracle do want. The orbs are flying, keeping this DP safe, and nobody can access her as they move away safely. Massaway moving forward. That is silenced up, but essentially going to be placed down. The BKB popped instantly. Guess is being melted. But right now to try and take a kill if they can. Zemistry has full HP. They're focusing him, so they go on a different hero. It's Lord Boons. He's gone. No buyback. 68 seconds, and Grimstroke buying back. Looking at the opportunity they just got. Exodum is done. They want to keep on chasing. Sark with the regen at least a little bit as they go forward. Wygod chasing down. Can it get control? In fact, Wygod's going to become Tusk and get that control. Tag team comes out. Chance go in, but looks like Wygod's going back and letting Massaway but F18 take the opportunity to get a little bit of control back. No, Sark is just going to get blown up. He jumps into the entire team and melts. It seems like the cores aren't really enabling the Slark right now, and Wygod wanted to initiate, but he didn't initiate, and now he's going on back. Can he get chased down? Okay, tag team's going. Actually going to get Adapt Strike to go back. Spirit Vessel's going to be there. They've actually got some vision coming out from the Alpha Wolf, but they're back for your towers. They lost Lord Boons again, but then they just baited you to split up your attention, get a false initiation from the Morphling. Slark's like, okay, sure, we're going straight in. Jumps in, dies, and now you're losing your racks because of it.
Yeah, that's sort of 2 fights in a row that have started quite well for FF5v2, and then they've continued to push aggressively into the fight and kind of overestimated their ability to take Oracle on. As now we see the fight continuing, I think they just have to leave Zemistry alone.
is under attack.
Yeah, he seems way too strong. Okay,
It's-
F18 gonna go for it. Brew 1. Okay, Snowball dodge every single
The
time
arena
that
is
sun
back
comes down.
up.
Now Mars is in a very awkward position. They're both silenced, and I think you're just gonna have to run and take what you can get out of it because Oracle, they're not gonna give you a kill back. They gave you all the boons, but they're not gonna give you any other member of their squad.
Yeah, that all comes down to itemization, right? Like, Oracle played that very conservatively. They're very firm. They want you to go on Zemistry and no one else. They're not even running Lose Yourself up to hit the tower as the support Abaddon to try and make it fall faster. Now, they actually find Wygold in the neutral.
BKB coming in, they get the fight. Maybe Wygold could do it. He might just need a run, but I believe he already used Waveform, so he's gonna have to come to us. Get a Snowball's shots are weird, but they're gonna maybe get a kill himself. No, he Snowballs to dodge it in the end. Now Mars commits with Zemistry. He's got the damage. The Exorcism is pumping, but Kess is pumping too. Kelvin's gone. Massaway finishing off Lord Boons again, but can you finish off Zemistry? The DP, so much farm, so much HP, and so much damage, destroying FFYV2, but that adaptive strike adapted the task into the ground. Massaway trying to get Kelvin, actually have to run away from him, does get the Shadow Blade to get a little bit of vision back, but the sentry's down anyway. Kess in position, nice roll, gonna sacrifice his own life to give the potential for Massaway to get a kill, but he runs on back, leaving Wygold by himself. There's 3 heroes just trying to melt down this Morphling. He hits himself with the E-Blade to keep the physical back, but they're draining him anyway. The tips are coming out. The Morphling is dying. The man has no buying back. And now it's going to be Team Oracle marching down your mid lane. Gonna finish off these racks, maybe get a little bit more or go back. I mean, okay, they did take the mid racks already. Maybe they can't get the access to the bottom racks and they can take potentially Roche instead.
Yeah, they just push a little too slowly to try and force things here. But yeah, what a heartbreaking moment. We've seen actually the whole game, I have to say, huge vision advantage to FFYV2. The Team Oracle support players obviously aren't necessarily their usual support, so maybe that's affected their warding game. But that time, they had the great obs up spotted, Wygold farming, and even, as you mentioned, saw him put the waveform on cooldown and took that as their opportunities. The Morphling unusually forced to commit to that fight and forced then, of course, his team to commit to the fight, which went very badly for them. They... You know, that team fight before where they overcommitted on Zemistry, that was because they saw the Exorcism was down. They know that they cannot possibly fight into the Exorcism, and I think previously they didn't fully appreciate or didn't even spot the Aghanim Scepter on the Death Prophet. That little bit of extra damage and healing is what, you know, pushed them over the line before, and then we just saw there when they do have the Exorcism available, it's a no contest.
He's going in. He's almost dead. He's fine. We're going to get Luigi stuff now. The Aegis is still there. Roche isn't dead. They're taking a fight before it, and now Kelvin is spitting on everybody, but can he burn them alive? No BKBs. They're going to be pumped. Everybody going to be retreating. Psych going to be regenerating a little bit. Chestnut is absolutely fine for now, but 20 seconds before the Morphling arrives, you take the fight without it. Zemistry's an absolute monster. Destroys Chestnut instantly, and we're still chasing people down. We're pumping up Zemistry. Kess is trying to roll away with Zemistry. Walks right in his line and puts him down anyway. And back into Roche they go to claim the Aegis, claim the cheese that they're already going to get, but now to get a sweetener. 2 more kills on top. Mars can't save it, can't seal it. Okay, he's just going back and maybe... Okay, he does get the point to safety. A little bit of tension going, but FFYV2 massively on the back foot at this point. It's 6k and Wygold, he got caught in the trees. BKB's popped. He should be good. We're good to go, but my man, you have to be careful here.
Wow, remember when Wygold was top net worth? I feel like the net worth has not gone up on this Morphling in the last, like, 10 minutes. It's just been overlapped by the Wisp and the DP now, even the Sark getting ahead, and that's really unfortunate because while that E-Blade was a really key item and helped keep him in the game for a little stretch there, not following it up means that its power has already kind of started to fall off, and we've seen Wygold already forced to burn most of that BKB, largely defensively, and then in that key fight, that BKB advantage they had is gone now. From blowing up Lord Boons has finally gotten his own BKB on the Wisp, which means that point of weakness that FFYV2 were exploiting to take teamfights no longer exists.
Well, right now, I'm trying to exploit something as Massaway goes on in. He's forced to fight us even if he doesn't want to. Okay, Inkswell can't stun anybody, get Zemistry, but Zemistry is still pumping out that Exorcism. You've got to move back, you've got to get back. Chestnut can't get back fast enough and dies as a sacrifice for Massaway. Keep your cycle alive, but Mars in the trees? He's just trying to hide from everyone, get initiation, but they just kill him anyway. Exum is just destroying them. This TP is absolutely insane. They can't handle this damage output. Kess getting caught, tries to silence anybody, but they just blink behind him and try and kill him anyway. Getting 9th magnetized. Nice initiation. Wygold is finally doing it, but the kisses are arriving. Wygold BKB, it is down so low. Solo, they take out the Morphling, and now they're looking to claim the game on the side of Team Oracle. There is no buybacks. GG is gold, and Team Oracle take game 1 of this best of 2 series against FF1v2.
Yeah, it took a little bit longer than I would have expected. That they had to kind of wait for the Wisp hero, had an awkward power window, but ultimately the strength of that lineup, you saw there, they're unkillable, especially once they picked up that BKB on Lord Boons. You could argue that maybe he could have gone for it a little sooner, and perhaps that would have meant that he would have been strong at the same time. We saw Zemistry be very strong when he picked up his BKB. Like that little spike there in favor of FF5v2 basically comes down to the one position Wisp not having a BKB and allowing himself to be blown up repeatedly by the Morphling and ES. But of course, all that takes is buying one item. Boons farms it pretty fast, and the game is put out of reach. And that's just kind of the feeling you get from Oracle. They always know they can win, and that is such a powerful trait. It's just the benefit of having a player like Zemistry on your team. He looks, I think now it's very easy to say he's the strongest player in the competition.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy.
He dominated completely. It's insane. I don't know really how you stop him there. He was just so strong, and I mean it's just DP. He built so much regen on this, but his laning stage was impeccable. I really don't know how to handle it. And as we talked before, FF5v2 need one game. They need to take one game to secure their spot in the semi-final. It is insane, and Game 2 is going to be coming up after short break, so don't go anywhere, folks. It is going to be massive, and the action is going to continue here at LPL. We'll see you in a bit. And we are back, folks. It is Game 2 time, and man, if FF1v2 need to take a game to stay in this competition to secure that semi-final position, it is looking insurmountable because Team Oracle, they were impeccable. They changed their role. They had a carry Wisp, and still they were able to dominate throughout that game. What can FF1v2 just to secure Game 2 here?
Well, I mentioned it. Both teams have very good players, and we saw in FF5v2, like, that was not a question of them, like, misreading when they were strong. Even the fights that they lost towards the end that look a bit more hopeless, where it's like a team takes a fight and then loses, you sort of go, oh, was that a mistake? But they were choosing their best available opportunities, right? They were trying to attack when the DP exorcism was down, before they got the Aegis, before they got the Wisp BKB. They just couldn't do it at that point. So I think it comes back to the draft. The FF5v2 draft, I mean, I'm not saying it was without possibilities, but I'm not sure why it had to have such vulnerabilities as it did. That Morphling last pick in particular, I think they went too hard on the idea of blowing up this Wisp as a support. Like, that's what that Morphling last pick says to me, because when you looked at the team, that's their only hero it can really victimize. Like, obviously burst damage is good against the Death Prophet, but they were planning to lane that Morphling mid, and that matchup does not favor the Morphling. So you know the Morphling's not going to be sort of overwhelmingly farmed compared to Zemistry. It just makes me feel like they didn't think everything all the way through, and that's, you know, when you take the L in the draft and the opposition are as strong as Oracle are, you're digging yourself such a deep hole. I think they just need to try and pick really clever lanes and make sure that they have strengths throughout the game, because if they leave such a wide window for Oracle, Oracle are going to sort of drive a truck through it.
And what it did seem like from FF1v2, they're like, okay, this is a series. We're going to go back to our comfort heroes. We're going to put Kess on his Earthspirit. We're going to put a Wyngod on a Morphling. We're going to put Massaway on a Slark. And we're going to know these heroes. We're going to know our timings. And then we're going to be able to use that to go to game. But it didn't seem like that was enough. Should they try and draft ideally around what Team Oracle are doing? Or are they just going to kind of, you know, go down the rabbit hole and just get in the same hole that most teams find themselves when they try and draft against Team Oracle, and like they've been playing them the entire time with the 5th crazy pick?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I think it's a trap unless you're very confident to draft and try and outpick Oracle, just because, as we saw then, I mean, that's essentially what they did, and Oracle will just do something wacky like put Boons on carry Wisp and still beat you. They had a core Snapfire in that game and they beat you. So I think you just need to make sure that what you're doing is as strong as possible, and that draft was not it. Like, there's a draft analysis video that was actually put up like a month ago by PPD, right? So one of, if not the best drafter in Dota history. And obviously he doesn't share, you know, it's impossible to convey the kind of evil genius that Peter Dega has. But the thing that stands with me from the video analysis is picking heroes that are different to each other, that provide different strengths, that cover each other's weaknesses, that force the opposition to acknowledge the widest possible range of possibilities. Slark and Morphling, maybe your two carries comfort heroes, but they're kind of the same hero in a lot of ways. They're weak early game, relatively weak laners. They have enough strengths in terms of being glass cannons where they can exploit favorable matchups in the mid game, and they can farm pretty hard and have great late games. But ultimately, against a team that's strong in the mid game and not countered by them, they are going to struggle. And doubling down on those two heroes as your 1 and 2 means your team was so weak. And especially like, who is their offlane again? I almost forget already who their third position was.
5 seconds.
Buon, FA The Mars.
Oh, yeah, they had the Mars. The Mars was a decent pick. The Mars was a decent pick because you did need like an initiating team fighting type hero, but maybe even wasn't quite good enough because, the Mars hero is also kind of a farmer. Maybe you just needed something very safe like a Tide Hunter even, that's going to, be able to buy purely defensive items to help make the Slark and the Morphling more durable in those fights. We saw they just were overwhelmed by the Exorcism when they tried to, take those really game-deciding fights. So, just something like that. It's not enough to pick your comfort heroes if they don't form a cohesive lineup.
Oh, and we are actually straight into Game 2 here. The draft is already fully going here. It seems like the standard ban fare of Game 1, Void Bats. Tech keys again from FF1v2 to CM getting thrown on top, but Team Oracle, they're changing it up again. Godot might not be playing this week, but they're still happy to pick up the Enchantress.
Yeah, really interesting to see the ban change from FF5E2. I mean, we didn't see the Tinker last game, so we have no idea why they banned it, but this time they turned around and they banned the CM. And the Team Oracle Enchantress pick, I almost wonder whether that was influenced by the CM ban, because you think, why have they banned CM? And one of the things that CM does is kill neutral creeps with the Frostbite, so maybe they're trying to protect an early Enchantress pick. And Oracle, they're like, well, we play Enchantress, boons. You had a fun time last game. Here, have this hero. Don't need to buy Helm of the Dom. Just go out there at level 1, enchant your creep, and do your thing.
Sweet, it's like having an eye all over again. The one thing I do worry about, FYV2, they're going for a very safe pick here. They're picking the first pick, Lich. It's one of the best defensive supports, the best laning, securing supports that we have in the game here. But Frost Shield is one of those abilities that can be instantly purged off by Enchantress here. Oh, am I missing something?
I mean, you're right in that probably makes the lane matchup harder, but Lich is not necessarily going to skill Frost Shield very early on, and I feel like that's the kind of thing where, while it may come into play in the game, I don't know if it's like a major enough consideration to affect your draft. If you're FF5E2, like we talked about, don't get too sucked into countering what Oracle are doing, right? Like if you know that your support player is comfortable on Lich and you need that strong laning support, not having the full effect of the ice armor because Enchantress might dispel it is the kind of thing you just have to kind of take a risk on.
Remaining.
And right now, Team Oracle, they're taking no risk. One of the safest support duos that we've seen for a while, Enchantress and Rubik. Some great spells to steal as well, and Rubik just seems to be an overall fantastic hero to play in the position 4 role.
Yeah, Rubik is a little bit of a greedy support, but of course Enchantress is such an anchor for any team during the early game. Really popular pick the last few patches because of that, and because she obviously scales quite decently out of the laning phase as well, being able to provide damage and pick up various items. So I think it's probably going to be a safe lane Enchantress, which implies something about how that lane is going to attempt to repel aggression. You've kind of got a harassment-based support who has to zone enemy offlaners to help the carry, because I'm assuming this isn't safe lane Rubik. Rubik is very commonly the offlane support, kind of gives you a bit more freedom and means that the pressure's not on you as much to defend your carry in lane with Rubik's lengthy cooldowns. But that does mean that FF5E2, if they have a lane that can't be zoned by the Enchantress, whatever that looks like, they could have an edge, and Clockwork might be the first part of that.
Well, Clockwork seems to be one of those heroes that we see every single week is going to have a fantastic game where he just dominates all the lanes, makes those rotations, and controls the entire control, or he's the guy who does absolutely nothing in lane that steals a little bit of XP, maybe a couple last hits from you, and just constantly dies while your offlane gets absolutely nothing out of it. Seeing the Enchantress and the Rubik there already, do you think it's going to be a good game for the Clockwork?
I like this pick of Clockwork more than I like most of the picks of Clockwork we have seen. And I'm always the first to point out that the hero has a very high failure rate, and more so, I mean, it's easy to say the hero is bad when it's not good, but like some heroes have a higher flaw than others, and Clockwork is one of those ones where it's like, if you don't get this hero to work, it's useless. It's really an absolute burden on your team. You regret picking it. It looks very silly. There's not much the person playing it can even do. So you have to know what you're doing when you pick it, as a support at least. I'm not even convinced that this is a support, right? Because they already have the Lich. So this looks like it could be an effective support duo, or equally, it could be the setup for a Claw Clockwork in a slightly more aggressive lineup. And this is the kind of game where you wouldn't mind having a Core Clockwork, because both Enchantress and Rubik quite vulnerable to the hookshot initiation, just being controlled, basically taken out of the fight.
Seems like a pretty good idea. And right now, it seems like, yeah, Team Oracle, they're not taking a bait. They don't think Clockwork is going to be the offlane yet. They're taking out all these offlaners here. The Bat's gone. The Nature's Prophet is gone. Same with Mars again, which was a popular FFYV2 pick here. But the other side, for FFYV2, they're just going to take away all the Garys, all the heroes that, you know, Lose Yourself, Zemetry, a very comfortable play. Maybe even Lord Boons is comfortable player. I am surprised there's no potential IO ban here. I think they don't seem there's too many openings, so they're going to go for something a little bit more safe and get rid of the anti-mage as well.
I think banning the IO would be an extremely bad idea. That was a one-off strat, and like, I mean, judging by Lord Boons' performance there, it's not as though the Wisp or the IO was the reason they lost that draft, right? Like, you would be banning the Death Prophet. if you're worried about what happens in game one, you would be saying, please don't let Zemistry do that to us a second time. Because he basically, the Oracle team, if you didn't see it in game one, to me, they looked actually very much on the point of losing it all. Like, their team nearly collapsed, and their Death Prophet was just strong enough, and their team play was just tight enough with all those healing and saves to kind of win those critical fights and just break FFYV2's resistance. But I don't know if they want to like just jump right back into the same sort of draft.
Well, right now, it's a little bit different coming out from them. They got the third pick here, so I guess we need to decide whether the Clockwork is going to be the core of the offlane here. Maybe we do go for an early safe lane pickup, since most of these safe lanes are getting banned out, and maybe the hero that you do want might be stolen right from under you by Team Oracle here, who still have the Ember Spirit, one of the most popular heroes every single goddamn week, still on the board.
Yeah, I like the bans by FFYV2. They know the weaknesses of Clockwork, and one of the reasons I think we're seeing this Clockwork hero fail is because people have been picking it early and picking it into counters. Heroes that are highly mobile, that don't respect the cogs, that don't respect his early game laning powers. So if you can't either set up a good early game laning combo and you don't have cores that are punished by the Clockwork's initiation, there's not much reason to play it. Now they grab the Sand King, so it does look like probably a support clock, right, out of these two heroes. I won't make the decision just yet, but Sand King's more commonly put in a core role, and did get a buff this patch, if I'm aware.
About to say, yeah, his Caustic Finale got hella buffed. So do you think we're going to be seeing the return of the old school right-click Sand King in the lane, where he just blows every single creep around you up, farms it in, and just gets just really aggressive in it? None of this passive hiding in a sandstorm while a couple creeps die around you. Just going to get in your face.
Drow Ranger.
Yeah, that Sand King never really went away. It's more a matter of when you can make it work for you, which is typically against melee cores. And that's why I'm a little bit surprised to see the Sand King picked halfway through the draft, because as we can see, Team Oracle just immediately grab a Drow. So the easiest way to not die to Caustic Finale, even with the buffs, is just not be in Caustic Finale range. You have to be next to the creeps to die to it. Yeah.
Might get a little bit closer here, but somebody who does really get close to the Drow Ranger, Ricky, instantly picked up. So just jumps on the Drow, breaks the marksmanship instantly, and Drow can't really do much if there's just a Ricky on her the entire time.
Yeah, this looks like a theme from FFYV2. Like, Caustic Finale aside, what the Sand King does bring is obviously the Burrow Strike. It's a mobility skill and a stun together, which means that it is very level efficient. If you need to be initiating on people before heroes have the money for blink daggers, then Sand King is one of the best options. And that's actually kind of a common theme amongst their lineup. It looks like FFYV2 are going for a really, really early timing, which I don't mind at all. They're going to try and be super aggressive into this Rubik and this Drow and really punish them. Even Slardar, like, he's a strong early brawler, but I don't think he solves all the problems this team might have if FF5v2 can get their lanes going well. And I will add one more caveat that in that sort of game, I actually would expect core Clockwork support Sand King for the reason that Burrow Strike is an ability you can take at level 1, but Hook Shot is an ability you can take at level 6, and you really want to enable both of those heroes, with their sort of initiation skills if you're playing that draft.
Fair enough. It seems like a pretty good idea, and I think we see kind of strategies here. And actually, it seems like Team Oracle, they're a little bit on the back foot. They're responding to FF1v2. Slider being picked very much reactionary to both Ricky and the Sand King as well. So maybe FF1v2, they're getting under the skin of Team Oracle here with this draft.
Yeah, I think it's indisputable. Just look at Team Oracle's last two bans. They banned Spectre, and then they banned Pugna. And Pugna support is definitely like a niche pick that can work in certain situations. But when I see those heroes banned with the enemy team, presumably waiting to draft a core, that tells me that they just are not certain exactly what FF5v2 are doing. And that's with 4 picks revealed in the draft. So the fact that they're not certain exactly how FF5v2 are going to run this is a sign that this draft is lined up much, much better for FFY.
Well, final bans are coming out here. I guess we do need a mid laner each way to kind of secure this whole thing, round it all off. If you are FF5v2 as one of those really aggressive drafts that looks, what kind of is that wine god hero that situate? Maybe the Wind Ranger, which we've seen a few dominant plays on it. Void Spirit is gone, so we don't have that. Other one, TA's been taken out too. So the hero pool we know wine god can play, at least in the season, has been isolated a little bit here.
I was going to say Templar Assassin or Wind Ranger. Of course, with the Templar gone, that means could well be the Wind Ranger. The Prophet's gone as well. I mentioned the components. If they are looking to push early, and I can only assume with Sand King, Clockwork, Lich, that's what you're trying to do. You want to fight as soon as Oracle were fighting, if not sooner, last game, and punish before Drow can really get her first few items up. What they're lacking is tower push, right? None of these heroes hit towers particularly well. Ricky is not a great pusher. He's definitely a fighting, ganking core. Clockwork and Sand King, they're contributing stuns and mobility and teamfight initiation, not tower damage. So the Lena ban as well, you just need something that can right click, probably a ranged hero, but it could almost be anything, because the point is that with this much fighting power and importantly this much initiation, FF5v2 can play off the idea that they're just going to kill all of Oracle most of the time and then push while they're dead. So in that case, you really just need the kind of hero that can start tapping a tower. Plop, DK, DP themselves is still in the pool. Would be a great pickup.
Oh, they're going to have to react to Tiny. Yeah, they're going to have to react to old school Tiny. The revert to Tiny. The old school Tiny, the tree, only has 5 charge now, but does hella damage to buildings now. So that pushing power that was a little bit lacking in Team Oracle there has been made up high, and more ganking potential from Team Oracle. Maybe that can push it up to a little bit maybe even over FF1v2 here.
Yeah, having more AoE stun, there's a lot of strong channeling abilities on the side of FFY. These heroes, are vulnerable to that, as well as more burst. And I almost wonder whether the burst, it's good against the Ricky, of course, who's very slippery otherwise, but I wonder if it's almost trying to pre-counter a possible Death Prophet pick, which does loom large. We just saw last game how dominant the hero can be and how it kind of enables a pushing draft all by itself. But they go with the OD, so they're all in on fighting. And this looks so strong against the Team Oracle lineup. If you get that early BKB on YGod, this is the kind of hero he can do his thing and just carry the whole game. This is his redemption arc.
That's a vote of confidence, man. So I'm feeling that you're looking at FF1v2 a little bit favorably here. Maybe they can take this game 2 against Team Oracle. They have controlled most of the drafting situation here, and this OD is looking absolutely massive.
I actually I will say this is a close game. This is not a clear winner.
Okay.
But I'm gonna give Oracle the edge. One, because they have been so consistent. FFY are the team with something to prove here, and I worry a little bit that they've gone down that same hero weaknesses hole again with the YGod Outworld Devourer. The timing is very strong. I'm sure YGod's super comfortable in the hero, but it doesn't push towers naturally very well. It does require a BKB to contend with this Tiny and this Slider, right? So you're leaving Oracle an opening again. If they get an aggressive timing where the Tiny or the Slider has a blink, if they can start getting onto the OD, this hero is going to die so fast and so often, and it's the kind of hero that lacks a farming skill. So again, we could see YGod kind of crash out of contention the way we saw the Morphling's net worth just flatline in the first game.
Okay, that's a little bit harsh when we're looking for that, that chance, the golden moment for FFYV2 just to secure everything.
I know
around,
you're
'cause
the
this
king of the
is
underdogs,
that final
GTH,
week.
so
I
they'll have a
was about to say, I'm going for FFYV2. I think they've got this. I think they've got this.
I give you a fair chance this time. I would not be surprised if we were betting for money. I would not offer you very much. I'd put a $5 on this, and I said that out of respect for YGod and FFYV2. They've played so well this whole season. It would be a shame if they were, if their fate were left in the hands of Toons Reborn and Crossfire. But that is what we're playing for here. If they can't take the game out over Team Oracle, the strongest team in the competition, then they are vulnerable to being knocked out of the finals race.
That is correct, and it's looking scary here, but we have some pretty good drafting. I like the drafting. The ideas are coming. The timings are going to be there, and it seems like F1v2 are very... they value their timing specifically when they draft. Last game, maybe it was a little bit too greedy here, but they were working for their own timings. They were waiting for the E-Blade, waiting for the Silver Edge, and they've got timings this time again on FFYV2. Diffuser Blade, BKB, maybe Blink Dagger onto OD, a whole bunch of things that they need to use, and Oracle... as much as we said constantly, it seems like they have very good lanes themselves. Slaughter, a fantastic laner. Tiny, a fantastic laner. How's that match up against the OD there? Is Tiny able to survive that?
I think from what we've seen of various Tiny lanes, it'll be one of those lanes where Tiny just kind of tries to go even, and then if you start feeling too confident and slip up, you immediately get solo killed. Or if there's any support rotation, the Tiny can suddenly get a kill, right? It's just, OD has such an oppressive laning presence, and obviously has the huge range advantage, so Tiny will be looking for the opening to, all in and win the lane that way.
All right, now looks like Kelvin's trying to win this top rune as he mans up into their jungle. Chestnut looking to give him back, but he does absolutely no damage to Kelvin as Kelvin takes one Frostblast to the face. Massway jumping forward, going to get sent instantly as they turn it, so he didn't actually get his bash, but he is going to get the control back. Ricky to go with more. Maybe Martino takes a little bit of blast to the back, but Ricky is still manning up that natural regen. It ain't going to be too bad as long as you don't take too many smacks to the face. Kelvin moving back, Kelvin getting low. The rune is not the important part here. They want the first blood, but it is going to happen. Chestnut takes it. FFYV2, they are on the board, maybe with a double here. Martino trying to lower that damage to the Fade Bolt, but he's now going to run. Massway still going to chase him with the damage coming back. Another blast. The other blink strike. They've got it. A double kill for FFYV2.
And that's the power of the Lich, right? No other support hero enables that kill. The Ricky doesn't do very much damage there. Obviously, the Blink Strike's nice for staying on the target, but that is 100% the Lich's low cooldown, high damage, mana-efficient Frost Blast. No other support in the game would have that many nukes with the strong slow at that mana efficiency and cooldown to secure both kills. And it gives them a huge edge to start this lane. That's really big for FFY.
Oh yeah, a fantastic start for him. So maybe a Wraith Band early on, extra regen for themselves. And Massway feeling very comfortable in the start. And it seems like you kind of want this against both a Rubik and a Slaughter. They have some pretty good setups and some pretty good pressure. But speaking of pressure in the bottom lane, we're avoiding matchups again. Zemistry, he's in the safe lane as a Tiny. So there's no OD Tiny anymore. It seems like it's going to be Sand King Tiny. So Oracle, happy to play musical lanes because it'll just lose yourself back in the mid.
Yeah, and this is one of those situations where you can see there's a team whose musical lanes work out better than the others, right? You've moved the Drow away from the pressure that the sort of Clockwork Sand King Jiro can provide, where you're constantly under threat.
Oh, double.
But now you have
a little bit of pressure. Frost Shield coming out. You can't purge it because the Enchantress ain't here, but the kills ain't coming. Everyone being kicked out. Chestnut got to be careful about himself. He gets eaten alive by creeps, and it turns out that Martino takes it down. Chestnut's got to be watching that positioning there.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I was about to say that was the advantage they earned by getting those 2 kills. They got level 2 far earlier than their lane opponents, and they tried to exploit that. But unfortunately, not respecting the creep wave means you just give up a kill and most of that edge. It's not going to lose you the lane, but it is unfortunate. Just
hold that thought for the moment. Massaway running. Okay, he's fine. We're good to go. But yeah, they're losing the control that they previously had. Massaway is very low. But bottom lane, at least they're keeping Lord Boon's back. He's back on the support role. Kess is just keeping this Enchantress at bay, making sure that he can't get a single good creep to secure the lane for the Tiny. So Sand King is able to farm in the bottom lane at least a tiny bit, even if it is 13-3 versus 6-1.
Yeah, it's good work from Kess, and we've seen Kess really come to the fore as like a real rock for FFYV2 when they've had to change around players in other lanes, or, players have had difficult matchups. It's always Kess's support that seems to be the one giving them the foundation they need to push off of for their early game play. So, you know, maybe he can make the clockwork work. But interesting to see the Tiny still doing well in lane against the SK. And I wonder whether the SK skilled Caustic Finale early, because the kind of one advantage the musical lanes provide is you would have skilled as though you were laning against a Drow. And maybe you sort of end up playing differently to how you would if you knew you were going to be playing against Tiny from second one.
Radiant structure.
You see the Sandstorm, not the Finale.
Sandstorming up. In fact, there we go. Avalanche. He secures a couple creeps. Cass can't do much to keep this Tiny back. And yeah, at least Sand King's getting some secure farm now. He's got 12 last hits himself. The mid lane is looking fantastic, at least for both these mids, because they're even. 8-5 versus 9-5. All right, everyone is doing absolutely fine. And the mid Ranger isn't too bad. She's able to get some aggression. And with earlier levels, she can farm much faster at a much earlier time.
Yeah, this just makes more sense, particularly in the mid lane, right? Like we mentioned, the Tiny is just gonna have to wear so much. He can do it. Like Tiny has well and truly proven mid lane credentials, but it is still awkward having to run in and out of OD's range and taking harassment for creeps, trying to, you know, bluff with your nukes without wasting too much of your potential. And Drow, on the other hand, just stands in a high ground and turrets creeps down and trades farm in the lane. So, you know, there's still potential for OD to get a solo kill, especially once that level 6 sanity clips is available against a relatively low agi hero like Drow, but much more static laning, I would expect.
Denied.
And actually, still on the 11 CS OD, despite having a lane switch against, was kind of surprising. Normally, that kind of gives you a window to jump ahead and farm.
Well, speaking of jumping ahead, Rick jumps forward with the Frost Shield on, trying to get Martino again, but bash to the face, gets him down, jumps forward with a nice triple trick to trade, but gets absolutely nothing. Now he's on the tower, take a tower shot to the back, as Kelvin beats him back. Fade pulp between two of them, they can't get the kill, but man, he wanted that kill so badly, ends up nothing, loses all his HP. I don't think he has a self. Yeah, he's lost all his regen in that lane.
Wygod with the haste rune might try and do something here to lose yourself. It doesn't seem clear that he even has the arcane orb to play aggressive. As Zemistry actually kills Boo1 in the safe lane, so that Tiny really doing well.
He's making rotation top though. Martino, he's going to be running back. He's going to be paying for it with his life just at the rune time. We did lose ourselves a Sand King in the bottom, but that's because Kess isn't there at all, and they're just 1v1ing between them. Because Lord Bones, he's not even in the safe lane trying to secure the lane for Tiny as well. They're just securing runes, making these rotations, and making sure that, you know, this offlane is absolutely fine to trade these farms between them.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is going to get really hard for Boo1 if there's sentries around. Like, this is going to potentially go from bad to worse. But I mean, I was speculating on the idea of a Sand King support, so it's not essential that he gets farmed. And I like, ultimately, the decision to move Kess's Clockwork out of the lane, because Enchantress, right, if she's sitting in this lane and it's kind of a passive farm fest, she's going to be farming the jungle, grabbing neutral creeps, and easily making rotations. Your Clockwork is getting nothing by just standing in the lane, waiting in case a fight breaks out, right? That's how we've seen this Clockwork pick fail before, just sitting passively in the lane. He needs to be moving around and making fights happen. And if that isn't happening bottom, then he sort of has to give up on the Sand King and try and, you know, killing the Rubik top. That's terrific. Do that instead.
And right now, Wygod wants something mid, but he's taking arrows to the face, trying to get it. So this Drow Ranger is really paying off in the mid lane. This OD can't dominate like he wants to. He can't Astral Imprison him. Drow's just able to take the farm. Maybe you don't take a rune yourself. And Wygod is going to be trying to take this opportunity here. They're going to be TPing against the Vision. Going to be placing. I'm going to see the Clockwork, and they do get it. But what can they follow him through? Because Drow can still hit you pretty hard. Kess comes in, gets the batteries on. He's level 3. I believe he does have Cogs. He's holding for now, and Lose Yourself is going to lose his life. With the rotation, the Invis rune paying off, Drow is put down, given the opportunity for OD to get some farm, but it looks like Kelvin's taking the opportunity to go straight for Kelvin. Massway looking for Rubik to support trade in the top lane here. Kelvin is diving pretty hard, gets the bash, takes him down, but Martino will be traded, so both supports are dying. Kelvin is pretty low. Level 6s are coming on every single side here, like a little bash to get it. So these lanes are pretty fighting. Like, they're not just looking for the status quo here. Everyone is fighting between, and Kelvin's looking for opportunities. And Massway, bash, okay, doesn't have much mana. Okay, it's going to get another bash on top, but Massway is absolutely fine. And Kess is going to be coming in too, but Martino is back with the response. So safety is there. Odie gets out. Lord Boons for a rotation, ending up with nothing. Everyone is trying to kill everybody else, and I love it.
Lord Boons looking very disapprovingly at that Hellbear creep, asking it if it could just have had a stun please. COD teleports out on no health. But yeah, that's a really important escape and important trade at top. His top lane staying real messy. Kess is rotating very well. I'm a little bit worried about the level development of the Clockwork, but we saw there. Can you believe I was literally about to say the words, I really think they should rotate someone to this mid lane and gank the Drow. And then just like that, the perfectly coordinated Astral Imprisonment into Clockwork gank setup. That's something this mid Drow really needs to be made more afraid of. They can do that to her every time the Clockwork's around the lane or has teleport, basically.
That is what you sound like.
And it seems like they aren't, because Drow's left the lane, going back to farm junk camps, and then Clockwork is going to be looking for her. But right now, the aggression is still going to be there. Martinez moving forward. 7 forward. Boon's able to leave that bottom lane. Is now going to head top. The pressure up massive. Probably going to be trying to get a kill. And actually, nice cross of haze to get the vision. Kess is actually going to be sacrificed to lose yourself as he tries to mess with his farm. But we're going to be messing with Ricky at the same time. As he goes back to the high ground, trying to get safety in Chestnut, looking to sacrifice his own life. So you're going to be losing a Clockwork who's just playing around with a Drow Ranger, but everybody else is safe. But we are at the scary point right now because Slider is 6. The Invis isn't looking too scary anymore. And hey, Wygod, he's just farming your bird creep as he runs back to the mid lane. Massway going for Matino again, but can he get it? Got control. Corrosive Haze going to be there. Warm Boom's back. Bash is good. The control was there, but Wygod never actually left. So now he's looking to bring the pain. The Arcane Root is there. It's going to be dropping the hand, trying to drain all the mana away, but the toss combination is almost going to kill Massway. But there we go. One final slap from Zemestree finishes him off in the end. Lose yourself, Jason Kelvin's going through the river. You've got to get out of Slider's territory right now. He's beelining for it. 1 point won't be enough, and OD back to safety. So Massaway dead, maybe to kill on Lord Boons. It doesn't seem perfect, but at least you've got a little bit of extra farm into this OD who's probably needing it.
Yeah, I think FF5v2 are happy with that trade. Not over the moon, obviously. It was a trade ultimately. It's Zemestree coming in and proving, that's exactly, we saw the advantage of both these mid heroes right there. Like the OD is hitting this strong, even though that sort of top lane standoff was a little bit awkward and they did have to put their Ricky in an insanely dangerous position. They were able to drag a fight into happening and abuse that Sanity's Eclipse for a free kill on Boons' Enchantress, which I'm sure they were very happy to get. But of course, Zemestree's burst, very, very important against both the OD and the Ricky. They're low HP cores, and until they have BKBs, they're going to be vulnerable. It's going to be up to them to sort of save each other with silences and imprisonment.
Oh, nice pick up from Matino. Just perfectly timed, as he knew he was just going to be baited out by himself because 3 heroes are chasing him down. I don't think this guy's got a hope to get on out. He's going to be trying to juke, but he doesn't have enough tango to cut all the trees, and now he's just giving away to Massaway. So Rubik wanted a couple creeps, sacrificed his life. Massaway rotated into the bottom. His diffuser blade is getting worked on, but right now we're focusing on the runes as we can get it because F18, he's top lane, but the runes aren't going to be taken there because the mid lane is where the attention Team Oracle are putting. They're putting onto the tier 1 mid as they want to get a tower to take for the timing because their timing is pretty good. It's a Drow Ranger, an Enchantress, and I believe even a Tiny hitting a building. These guys hit pretty hard and are able to push extremely fast.
Yeah, but I hope they don't mistake that for team fight superiority because I do think they have a ways to go in this game. They are the team who have like the second bite of the apple in terms of being strongest for fighting at the very least, and FF5v2 are going to be the ones trying to exploit that as soon as they feel they have items. I do think they are waiting for this defusal on Ricky or at least some sort of item, and Sanking,
Top lane though, Zemestree arrives, does a double off the ledge, but it's better resolved. No, it's not to save Chestnut, and I think Cass, he is dead too. Okay, all Boons can't finish off. Nice cogs to get a little bit of farm extra for Zemestree. But it does seem like FFY are happy to sacrifice Lich every single time. He's just going to be the bait to keep everybody else alive.
Yeah, that would have gone, I'm sure there you wish that the Lich had maybe taken the book instead of the Clockwork. That would have been a great scenario. But you're right. Both these teams are happy to give up their support if the other team wants to move and like 3 or 4 hero gank your support. We saw it with the Rubik before and the Lich there. Even the kill on the Sanking in the bottom lane previously. Like 1 death for space in these multi-core lineups, that's worth it to these teams, right? And especially we've seen how the space has benefited the Sanking. He was really struggling in the safe lane, in the laning phase, but Boo1, with the help of that buff Caustic Finale, has just exploded up to the top of the CS charts. And we'll probably have that Blink Dagger online that FF5v2 so desperately need. I think that item and the BK, item plus BKB on OD are their 2 most important timings this game.
And they're coming. They're farming. It's not going complete disaster. 6-8. It's a 1k gold lead to Oracle, but we're still getting good farm on each and every single one of our cores here. Ricky is a top 4 FF1v2, which is exactly what you want, but not too far behind is both OD and Sand King, so the farm spread is good. Maybe Lich isn't hitting any creeps, but he wasn't expecting to. The tower pressure, though, from Team Oracle is looking great itself. It's able to pressure the tier 2 top, able to take some good old damage for it, and FF1v2, they're not too interested in defending. They've even got a sentry placed down just in case the Sand King designs a sandstorm in the area, so really, even if they want to, Team Oracle are waiting.
Yeah, this is the awkwardness that's been pushed on them by the pick of this Tiny, I think was so important for Oracle, because FF1v2, they technically have the earlier timing here, and usually that's an advantage. If you pick yourself the earlier timing and strong initiation like they have, that means that even if both teams are equally good at playing their game plan, the other team have to kind of endure yours first. But because they lost the lanes, and because this Tiny pick, being a mid hero and the strongest hero in the game, threats just instantly kill anyone, it's kind of
going in, trying to start. Nice hook on Matino, both supports dead, gone, absolutely done, but the hammer was dropped for it. They just want to finish him off, but can even save the tower for it. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, 2 supports, full Wygod, happy to take it. Has a Midas himself, so his farm is building. Oh man, those Midas buffs are coming into play. People happy to pick him up these days.
Yeah, the level advantage that it conveys is really important. Certain heroes, and OD is definitely one of them. Obviously loves the gold, loves the attack speed, so using every part of the item. I think they're very happy, especially once you see that, you've gone Midas, so it is more of a defensive posture, to use that ultimate on supports there. Just getting a couple of kills out and keeping those supports poor is so important, right? Especially Rubik. If you can keep this hero under-leveled, if you can keep him off a Blink Dagger, off a Yules, any of these items, it makes it so difficult for him to be impactful, because there's good spells to steal. There's Chain Frost, there's Epicenter, Burrow Strike, of course, is great. But a poor Rubik against so many nukes and stuns is not going to have much impact.
I mean, they've really been shutting down quite a bit. In fact, every single support is pretty poor on both these teams here. Wygod looking for the opening, trying to get for his Zemetry, picking up, looking to fight, but the hook is good. Can he push back in? Lawn Boots in the area, going to be aiming at the damage, but he pushes him into OD, so the Avalanche is going to keep him back for now. Looks like Guess is just going to be destroyed by Luge herself, who just shows up to say, hey, sounds instantly on the Ricky. The Sentry is paying off. That Sentry's been there forever, and it's working so hard. Kess is still alive, though. Nice Chain Frost from Chestnut to save everybody. So FF1v2 are getting up, or they're not, because Sand King gets the epicenter stun of the game. Destroys Luge herself, just saves their tower, chasing more. Lord Boost has shown himself. He's so low. You just need to see him. You get yourself another. And Zemetry in the trees. Tries to TP out to safety, but it ain't happening with the team combination. They're gonna get themselves a third FF1v2. The save from the Sand King, turning that fight right around.
That was so strange and so painful to watch if you're an Oracle fan or a Toons fan. Remember, the fate of Toons Reborn rides on Oracle closing out the series 2-0, and it looked for a moment like they were completely outplaying FFY there. Like we saw, FFY, they committed both rounds of initiation onto the Tiny. He was very clearly staying in the front line. Like, Oracle positioned that expertly. They know their loss condition is the enemy getting on the Drow, and they have many tools to do so. So by dangling this Tiny out seemingly alone, they got the hook shot used on the Tiny, and you see it takes them a long time to kill him. Then the Drow showed herself, and the Ricky still blinked onto and silenced the Tiny, not the Drow. And then suddenly this heroes are trapped in Drow's range of fire. You don't have many chances without a BKB to move into or away from Drow if you expend those movement abilities. But then instead of being fully punished, they all just live on 100 health. And Oracle, I don't know whether they thought they were all about to die or whether that Sand King initiation was just so disruptive, but that moment of hesitation cost them so poorly because these heroes were able to retreat, and then they get punished once the cooldowns are down, and these heroes are caught out of position as FFY move in. Now they're in the driver's seat.
They are just playing around with the heroes on Oracle right now. Forcing them back, Sand King's forcing man, and even the bottom lane, Massaway feeling comfortable enough to farm the bottom. They pressure a tier 1 themselves as they have the diffusal blade picked up. So a big power spike obtained by the Ricky, happy to use, and Kess is waiting to give him that opportunity to do so. But at the same point in time, Team Oracle like, okay, we came for the tier 2 tower top. We've done some damage to the tier 2 tower top, so we're going to finally take the tier 2 tower top by sending every single hero up there. Kess looking like he wants to respond here. Massaway is farming, but the fight might actually be happening as they see Kelvin moving behind the tower. Throwing away the sword, hitting a double, breaking a blink. They've got the Alpha Wolf to get some vision here, but can they get an initiation on their side? FF1v2 looking for something to stun. It's going to miss. maybe you want this. No, deny from the Lich. Happy to take it. Got to be careful about the reinitiation from Zemetry. They think there's vision on the high ground, but it doesn't seem like there is. They're moving forward with the slow, with the damage. Crossfade down, but it's a Chain Frost. It's a control. It's going to find the hammer drop from FFYV2. It is destroying them. Kelvin is dead. Zemetry is destroyed. Lose yourself. He's just getting baited by himself. He's isolated and gone. 3 cores, 3 dead, and now the supports are running. Kess chasing down, Massaway jumping in. He's on a killing spree as Oracle are getting dismantled. What a turnaround again from FFYV2.
That was a very weird fight. And look, we've seen Oracle and FFY like occasionally make these questionable plays, and I'm not sure whether it's just like the very high confidence they feel from being so strong. When you win all your games all the time, no matter what you do, maybe it's like shocking to you when something doesn't work out. But to me, trying to make that fight happen without a blink, when you don't have vision clearly of where these heroes are, and there's so much counter initiation, there are saves, there are stuns, there are powerful ultimates, there's clockwork in this whole hero, like area control. It's so difficult to just take a fight by running into them, and that's what Oracle tried to do there.
Yeah, right now they're running back. All the control is now being given to FFYV2, and they're playing safely too. They're not overextending. They go for Kelvin, but then they pull right on back. So mistakes aren't being handed back to Team Oracle here. FFYV2 playing very disciplined.
Yeah, it's interesting. I really was questioning FFYV2's item choices. Like I mentioned that I figured their team had actually an early game window to play for, and I don't know whether they felt that they just fell too far behind the laning phase, and they feel that it was actually better to try and pivot into being the greedier team and out farming Oracle, outlasting them. But this Oracle, so instead of going for BKBs, which seems like such a key item against Drow Ranger and against Tiny and Slatter and Rubik, right? Just make sure these very high damage cores like OD and Ricky aren't disabled, aren't nuked down. They're going for Midas on the OD and Manta on the Ricky, which counters a lot of the same things that a BKB would. So they clearly, to me, that says that they actually don't feel that their critical timing is soon. They're happy to play it out. And I would expect Oracle to be able to punish that by taking a more aggressive stance. But by taking these 2 fights that are lost, suddenly even that's questionable, and it really makes FFYV2's item build look like a genius decision.
Yeah, well, I mean, while we're taking some time to play it out, we might as well take the opportunity to thank one of our sponsors for this season of LPL, Vodafone, our communication partner, always bringing great quality of calls that you can connect to all your friends and family. Never drop a call, never miss a moment, with Vodafone sponsoring this season of the LPL.
Yeah, absolutely. All of our sponsors have made the excellent decision of supporting the LPL Pro League. We hope they continue to make that decision and double down on it with all future seasons, because we want to see these teams run it back, right? Like, obviously, this is our last week of group stage play. We've already effectively eliminated 2 teams. We'll be seeing their swan song tomorrow. But, like, these, even one of these teams has to go home tonight between Toons and FFY. This is not the last we want to see of these players. There have to be redemption stories. There have to be follow-up arcs. So, definitely don't lose sight of the LPL Pro League once we move these teams beyond the group stage and towards our finals.
Oh yeah, that's when rivalries are born. Team Oracle, they're still feeling comfortable here, man. I'm not too worried, but they don't seem too worried. They're not even playing like they're, being forced to take objectives. They're just securing vision around the Roche, playing in your jungle, making sure that you're still isolated to 3 farming camps in the bottom, and now they have the opportunity to take Roche, and still FFYV2 have the minuses, they have the Ricky with the Mantas. It doesn't seem like they're as strong as they want to defend this Roche, which is not seeming too fast. Maybe they do get the opportunity, but FFYV2, can they do it?
I think the difficulty is just they have nowhere to teleport to, right? By giving up their tier 2 in top lane, they gave up their top outpost as well, and now their closest point
right now. And Chestnut, he went to the lower ground, so he's just gonna die instantly unless he gets the chain frost off. Frost shield's there. No, he's dead. Epicenter comes in and gets a double. Zemetry instantly dead. Kelvin is getting blowed on up. Minus gets you that BKB, and BKB gets you a triple kill, and maybe making a quadruple as you can enter Roche and take it for yourselves. A 7k goal lead to FFYV2. I was doubting them for the moment, but they just blew me away.
Yeah, look, when Michael went for the Midas, right, I mentioned, when I should have been more clear before, Massaway is not committing to the BKB, and normally you want to buy them together, but they clearly have the confidence that this OD, with the level advantage from the Midas into the fast 1 item, plus BKB has such a dominant timing that they're going to use this Ricky as late game insurance. And boy, are they correct based on that team fight. Of course, it was an incredible ultimate combination. The counter initiation, the bait by Chestnut into the epicenter Burrow Strike. That was such a crispy Sand King combo. So credit to Boo1, just destroying the series instantly.
Oh, yeah.
And that is what I meant about FFY having the edge, right? We saw Oracle take a lot of towers early on, and that is a strength of theirs, but they are not the stronger team right now. They evaporate in the face of this team fight power.
And credit where credit's due, this Sand King has been playing phenomenally. He's been able to turn fights that have been looking a little bit shaky just with his own initiation, carrying his teams while the Midas wasn't paying off yet. And now, when the Midas is paying off, he's still doing just as control. The epicenter is ripping everybody apart. Zemistry just got destroyed. He couldn't do anything in that fight at all. And one thing to note as well, the hammer was never dropped. There was no 70s Eclipse. They've got it for the next fight if they want it. And this time, it comes with an Aegis.
Yeah, that's the power level of OD, right? Like, the hero has such oh, hang on, Martina, what are you doing?
It's gone.
What are you doing?
He's just there. He wanted a creep, man. Just let me go.
Maybe there was the intent to still Burrow Strike and I'll burrow away, but man, that is a risk. They don't have a lot of vision in that area, and you have to be aware of Wygon at all times. He's a great white at the moment. He's Jaws. The whole map is his ocean. Just if you're in the water, you are at risk.
Slaughter's getting out of the ocean right now because it's so fucking scary. And Zemistry, he's just getting chased down by Massaway. Can they do much? Nice hook shot onto Kelvin. Hammer's finally dropped and takes out Zemistry again. Kess does get sacrificed, but that fight is amazing. Kelvin gone. Lose yourself getting blown on up. Even Lord Boons trying to get back to base. It ain't happening as Massaway is comfortable to chase you all the way in there. Martino respawns to see his entire team dead. His tower's about to crumble and is now an 11k gold lead.
Yeah, this is on the precipice of being unrecoverable. Wygod's OD is so far ahead, and OD, you can run into trouble because the hero kills towers quite slowly, but right now they're so dominant that you're at that peak where you just fight the enemy team under their tower and kill them all. His auto attacks have the damage output of like team fight ultimates, so you almost can't stand up to this hero as long as he has BKB available. It's very hard to get onto him with the draft that Oracle have set up, and especially with the counter initiation he has around him. So their only hope is try and weather the storm on their high ground and wait for their cause to catch up. But it is going to be a tough ask indeed. Wygod, bring him back.
Fight. They've found himself the Sand King, the big hero they need to kill. He's gone, but everybody else, they're getting out of there. They're running for their goddamn lives, and they will get back to safety. So you get Sand King, but yet still, you lost your tower. It's still a 10k goal lead, and now I am kind of worried for Team Oracle right now because they do seem like they are panicked quite a bit. They're feeling it. The fight got dismantled. The OD is insane. Can they even find up the items they got? They don't have a BKB, and they still need 1,500 gold for Zemistry to get it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. They sort of weren't... It seems like their early lane dominance or their early lane advantage might have encouraged them to try and roll FFY V2 before this draft got online. They almost maybe got baited a little bit by those greedy item builds coming out of FFY, but if that window was there, it's well and truly been missed now, and they are behind in almost every sense, not unrecoverably. Like the Drow has 10,000 net worth, the Tiny has 9k. These heroes can flash farm quite effectively. FFY V2 aren't the best gankers even, or at least the OD is not, the Lich is not. You know, Ricky and Sand King maybe, but the point being that Oracle can play their way back into this game. It's just FFYV2 now have control of things, and if they force more fights at the enemy high ground, like, we can see Oracle are very shaky.
Kelvin, he's going very greedy here, going for just up, but the Sinister Gaze finds him. Yulceptor saves him, Sand King sets him up, and they're gonna put him in his place. That man got greedy, but it cost him his life. The double tips are coming, and now you're feeding more gold into FFYV2 just for the taste of a Lich.
Yeah, but that's like, this is like game one where we saw what FFYV2 were doing when they were on the back foots. These are space creating plays. Calvin is the tertiary core. He had the kill threat there, so the best case scenario is you get that kill and get out. But as it is, that was like 4 teleports, so the entire top half of the map was open to Oracle's course, and immediately you can see 3 heroes have moved up there to farm. 4 heroes have moved up there to farm. So knowing that they, like, the loss condition for Oracle is that these heroes are all farming, and 4 heroes get caught by FFY, because they will all die just as easily as Calvin died there. Far better to sacrifice 1 hero, even if it's your offlaner, and keep farming, keep prolonging the game.
And right now, they don't really worry about this. They're going to take some tier 2 towers. They're in the area for it, so they went all the way through the bottom lane, took your towers, and now you're down to one lane with some 2 healthy towers, and your tier 2 in the mid ain't looking too nice. But for what it's worth, they do have some farming coming out. It looks like the Rubik is pushing in that top lane constantly to force some attention back from FFYV2. And the BKB is here from Zemistry. That seems massive. Maybe they can do something with this.
Okay.
There's no
so
BKB on Slider, though.
Calvin's about halfway to his BKB. Unfortunately, that death is going to cost him, and he can't afford. He can only really do that once or twice if they want him to pick up the BKB. But the Drow's BKB is what's next most important. Zemistry having BKB is massive, right? Because they were able to dominate the early game due to the threat of this tiny killing backline heroes. He can't kill the OD while the OD has BKB, but now the OD and the Sand King cannot control him. So he will once again try to break apart this FFYV2 team fight with massive burst damage and stuns. But if Drow can get the BKB, then we're going to see Lose Yourself get back into the game, and that is when Oracle have their best chance. Oh.
Boon's caught out, but I think that's the trade you want. Put Boon's down, you save everybody else, everybody gets out. Rubik is still pushing in the top lane.
I thought it was the carry hero, but you know, your Rubik is out there making space, chopping out the top lane hard. I think they expected him to be the one to tank the gank.
Oh, actually, he might go down here. They're chasing him, he's gone. Kess finds him. So they sacrifice Rubik, but they're sacrificing supports to make space for their cause. So no cause died, honestly, no cause was sacrificed. And bottom, though, they might find the Ricky. No, they're going to be trying to take the outpost. White God is coming. The bait is being played. Level 14 Tiny. He's going to pop his BKB and TP out anyway. But can the physical damage do it? No, it can't. But there's no outpost for you. And your 10-second BKB charge, you can throw that one in the bin because it's gone.
Yeah, worth it because that XP is so valuable, but a very sad loss in the 10-second BKB charge, and only lived due to the very lengthy outpost TP times. It must be said, FFYV2, this is the kind of the things that we see make them a great team. They do know that the enemy are going to try and make a play for that outpost. They know how to play the map before. That gank that killed Boons, that's actually a better outcome for Oracle than it usually would be, because they made that gank seeing the Rubik in the top lane, and instead of going to attack the humble 5th position, shoving the lane out, saying, look at me, they moved to the enemy triangle and secret shot because they expect a carry to be farming there. So they are going for the throat right now. And this is the kind of team that we said early on in the season would be rivals to Oracle. They know how to play aggressive, high-level Dota.
And speaking of aggressive high-level Dota, I think we're getting in smoke formation position. If we're looking at Team Oracle, all 5 heroes in the same area, yeah. Maybe a little bit of aggression coming out because the outposts are timing. 30 minutes is coming. Can we defend it? Because wards are catching out your rotations here. It seems like FF1v2, they don't care. They've got some tier 1s that won't respawn. And 30-minute mark to take down 2. So maybe their attention's going to be there. Or everybody TP's in. Everybody TP's in. Everybody has just arrived. Sand King's going to be finding the Rubik, but with a little bit of damage to breaks and blinks, it doesn't really matter. If you have a Burrow Strike, but you can't really find it. Yeah, trying to TP out. Kelvin is gone. Everybody is running. Can Sand King find a single soul? No, he can't, because Matino is in the trees and back to safety. So as soon as everybody comes, they get out. Fantastic telekinesis coming out from the Rubik. They're saving his life. He's got really quick fingers every single time. I remember in the early stage when the Rubik jumped on him, he was able to pick him up. So this Rubik is very fast with his abilities.
Yeah, it's great. Obviously, the hero has no cast point. So if you are able to, have fast fingers, this is the hero to be on. It really lets you flex that and take advantage where other heroes can't necessarily. And this game's looking even, but this is at breakpoint. Mass away.
He's got a tower. They've got vision. They've got bash. They've got Sal's Manta. Manta's good to go. Keeps away to Crystal Haze. He's out of vision right now. Can they move it? He can actually fight if he wants. Kelvin is in the trees. Jump forward. Sun comes out. Cross Vase back again, but he's just going to be playing tricks of trade. Ket's going to be keeping the team back, so we can't blast down Rubik. And with the sun, Burrow Strike stolen, he gets back to safety of the high ground, but they have vision of it the entire time. So Matino, he's just made himself on a podium, but it's a podium of his own death. So the kills, double kills, support's coming out, and maybe Kelvin is saved here, but Masterway is still too strong, and they're still going to be fighting. Zemistry's BKB is being used defensively again, so he gets out again, but he's still not using his BKB to make any plays, and I don't think he picked it up to use it to save his own life.
No, obviously not, right? Like, you need to be able to do more than that when you're behind with that item, but unfortunately, they made the right play there. I think oh, hang on, Calvin is still up here.
It's good. He was waiting. He didn't have a TP. He just hoped everyone would forget about it. But they never forget.
Clockwork. They keep getting caught up in these trees, unfortunately. Wow, White God is farmed.
Clockwork farm territory. Well, yeah, everyone is so far. Lose yourself. He's got to go to tricks. It's gone. He's mass away against it.
That's huge.
He doesn't have buyback. 67 seconds.
Yeah, that was the core kill they've been waiting for this whole time. Came in an unusual fashion, but it shows that this Ricky has finally gotten to the point where he is a really powerful solo threat to basically any hero, and this is the weakness of the Drow. They picked their entire lineup to exploit this Drow hero, and it has paid off. I mean, she's the strongest hero on the enemy team, and she just gets farmed by Masaway's Ricky here. Now, still without the BKB, but with insane damage items.
Top tower has fallen.
Yeah, Bash is coming, Abyssal Blade is coming. As soon as that arrives, I'm pretty sure Drow's dead every single fight, and even if you want to BKB TP out, it ain't gonna happen anymore. Ricky's just gonna farm you while FFYV2 farmed themselves another Aegis and another cheese. So this is looking really strong for FFYV2 here. 933, 15k gold lead. What options does Oracle have left?
I mean, they looked like they were holding it together there for a while, and then, yeah, of course, the choice to not build BKB on the Ricky means that now they compensate by giving him the Aegis, so even that, not the weak point that it could have been where, you know, we'll try and blow up Masaway, that's a lot of net worth we can take out of the fight. Now he's got the second life, and the OD has the cheese. It's looking tougher and tougher. Oracle did a good job of avoiding fights for a few minutes there, and you saw the gold lead actually did not increase during that time. I'm sure we'll see it on the graph after the game. But now, unfortunately, by giving up that spat of kills, it's blown back out to 17,000 gold. And more importantly, obviously, this Aegis gives them the chance to push high ground. So we might be closer to the nebulous Oracle goal of our cores are strong enough to fight into this BKB OD, but I don't think it's on a time scale that makes them feel safe right now. They are once again in the hot seat and kind of needing something miraculous to happen.
And, well, speaking of miraculous, Team Oracle were finding nothing but that smoke, which seems almost miraculous when you bring your entire team down there. But the high ground, FFYV2 are waiting. I believe Lucicel's going to show and try and bait out the entire team, but Oracle are waiting in position. People are coming. The rocket gets perfect vision. It sees everybody to stun, finds Lucicel again, but that's a fight. That's against those TPs and get on down. The BKB's been popped by Lucicel, but the damage isn't going to be there. Nice little hook block by Kelvin to make sure that Lucicel doesn't get hit by it, but then Kelvin gets hit by it and dies anyway, and everybody is getting blown away. Zemistry getting taken out to the team wipe on Team Oracle. They have 3 buybacks left, but FFYV2 are looking unstoppable.
Somewhere, Toons Reborn are probably watching this match with breaking hearts at that moment. Oracle, it was an okay idea, a high-risk idea, and we mentioned, of course, they don't have that much to lose in this game other than their pride, so they go for it. The high payoff play, dangling that one hero to get ganked, and if you approach that uncautiously and their 5 heroes pounce on you, that's the kind of, you know, I say something miraculous, but something chaotic, something risky and unusual that was unexpected, if they can take that fight on their terms. But of course, getting scouted out, that clockwork rocket vision that's been so huge all game, means that suddenly, instead of having an advantage where they're trapping a hero that, you know, thought they were ganking one hero and fights 5, they just take a 5v5 fight outside the protections of their base. They can't keep the space around their Drow Ranger, and yeah, the game is all but done now, unfortunately.
Well, they try to go fight again. Masaway doing them back. Wygo gets 2, but Kelvin actually finds it. No BKB pop, but doesn't even matter. Martinez already down. Happens to be dropped. Kelvin's got no HP. Drops his own BKB, and he limps back to base. Nice little toss in the air, but Ricky's got himself an Aegis, so you've got to kill him twice. But everybody's fine. Everybody's safe. Okay, you pop the Aegis with the sword being flown on out the tree. Crushes the Ricky, but Ricky's full HP and fine. BKB popped. The epicenter is great. The second is destroying Oracle, and the FFYV2 are doing it. They're keeping the Titans back in their base. They're looking like they're going to be able to take this game. Zemistry is just feeding his life to keep their hopes alive right now in this game too. But your buildings, they don't have the same hopes. You're going to be trying to throw some arrows at them, but then Clockwork finds you, Clockwork hooks you, and GG gets called. FFYV2 have done it. They've taken the game off Team Oracle.
Yeah, and of course that means they're going to be high-fiving and backslapping wherever they are right now, or at least under the social distancing equivalent, because that, I believe, puts them into finals on tiebreakers. Unfortunately, regardless of what happens in the next series, they have captained their own souls, mastered their own destinies, and why God, after getting clapped by Zemistry in game 1 and kind of being unable to really impact the game, this time he puts his foot down, he says, give me the OD, and it wasn't it wasn't the safest pick, but he has the confidence, and this is what we saw in those very early weeks when we were so high on on FF1v2. They played around this OD core and Ricky core perfectly. They differentiated their builds, so the OD peaked sooner with the Midas BKB, high levels, high net worth, basically an unstoppable magic immune damage cannon, and that bought time for Massway to play this very aggressive build. It just worked out perfectly. Full credit to them for that game.
Full credit to FF1 V2 did the unthinkable. They took the game off Team Oracle, but we're not even done for tonight. That was just the first series for tonight, and we've been speaking about a whole bunch. Toons Reborn, the hopes to take it to the semifinals. It may not be there anymore, but seriously, after last week, they bring it every week, and Crossfire have been playing amazingly as well. So the second series coming up is just going to be as hyped, and it's coming up after this short break. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to bring the action to you here at LPL.
We're gonna time.
And we are back, folks, after that short break. The action is about to begin here. Toons Reborn are going up against Crossfire here. Maybe these guys won't be earning Toons Reborn a semi-final position, but Crossfire made it to the semi-finals. These guys are going to be showing strats. These guys are going to be looking to play big because people are going to be watching.
Yeah, Toons Reborn, obviously, as we mentioned, unfortunately playing for pride at this point because their Team Oracle didn't manage to get the 2-0 win over FFY, but there's a lot of pride to play for, and taking out Crossfire would be a real statement win for them. And it could happen as well. Like, this is definitely on the verge of, being an even matchup. Crossfire have looked very strong at points. They took a game off of Oracle, the only team to do so before tonight, and they did so with a very prominent-looking strat. But I don't know if Alchemist Weaver is going to be as strong on the current patch, and it must be said, Crossfire, for all of their high highs, they have had some pretty low lows. This team is, I'd characterize them as inconsistent.
Yes, it seems like they are very inconsistent on the way they want to play the game. Sometimes it works perfectly, their play style, like the team can't adapt to it, but when a team does, it seems like they don't have too many answers other than just stick their head down and play towards their draft.
Yeah, and their draft has oftentimes been the problem. I feel like the two biggest things that have separated our top teams this season in what has been a really close and really exciting LPL season. I definitely wouldn't mind getting just the same teams to run it back, maybe plus an 8th for next season. But it's been about the draft and it's been about the mid lane, because so many of these teams have really strong mid laners, or mid laners who are very important to the team's strategies. You know, Gachi, Reverie, Zemistry, Y-God, all of these top teams, their mid laners are very important parts of their lineup. And then the draft obviously is what's kind of creating separation in who wins out of those lanes. And not every team is as strong in their captaincy and their shot calling and their understanding of the patch. So Toons Reborn, certainly they understand what they're up against. They first banned Reverie's Alchemist, which is the hero that they used to defeat Team Oracle.
That's right, and Weaver potentially could be banned too. That's the problem when running the same strat a few times here. You watch it, you can ban it. So Toons Reborn just undercutting them completely, but in Crossfire, they're trying to undercut a different way. They're taking the Undying away from Toons Reborn, a very powerful laner, lane securer. And we know that Toons Reborn like to secure the lanes for Gachi, make sure he has a good game so he can carry them throughout it.
Yeah, and you hit the nail right on the head there, GTH, the Ogre ban to follow up. So we're removing these tanky, very lane-dominating supports, these very reliable sort of fifth positions. Neither of those heroes really needs any sort of farm priority or resources given to them. They just run in the lane at level 1 and start working their magic to support these cores. So when it comes down to securing ESPX's lane, like if you're relying on your offlaner, as they often do on Toons Reborn, it's not enough to just hang in the lane as some offlaners do. You have to want to win it outright and secure farm, and so these sorts of strength supports are instrumental for that. But Toons Reborn, they do manage to pick up a similarly strong laner in the Bane, despite recent nerfs.
Grimstroke.
Bane always great at securing and having favorable trades with whatever offlaner position for you're going to see. He's just going to brain sap all that HP back. But then Crossfire, they pick up Tobe's favorite. It's Grimstroke. Grimstroke being picked up by Tobes. That's one scary combination to say here, and they haven't even picked up a combination with it. So Toons Reborn, they've probably seen Crossfire play this Grimstroke constantly again. What would you pick to kind of stop Tobes from being really able to dominate that lane?
Well, the first thing you could do is you could steal the Weaver pick, which Crossfire seem to go
Smart.
to in really every game they possibly can. Obviously, you don't have the double combo of the Alchemist here to sort of incentivize that Aghanims time-lapse build that we've seen Crossfire exploit before. But just the Grimstroke Weaver lane is something we've seen a lot of teams go throughout the patch, Crossfire being the most consistent and successful at playing that very strong lane combo. And it sort of stands out more than any other to the point that it might be worth explicitly taking the hero away from them.
Well, they're really using this time to really think about what their second pick is going to be, because, I mean, they have many different opportunities to go. They could go for a steal. They could take the Weaver out of the pool. They could pick the Weaver up themselves. They could go for the combination with the Nightmare with a classic Morana pickup, maybe, which has been quite popular throughout the weeks. But then again, we're talking in a new patch now. Does support Morana still work?
I think in general it were. I mean, this is the kind of combo that will never ever go away unless these heroes are completely remade. But what I would be worried about if I wanted to do that sort of draft is the potential of a Weaver pick. Because if you're not going to pick it right now, I'm not saying Crossfire will 100% take it, but they have been very consistent in grabbing that hero up. They believe in it 100%. And Morana does not line up well against Weaver at all. So I think you need to pick something like this Necrophos, where you say, you can pick the combo, but we at least have a hero that does well against it. Crossfire, don't blink, immediate Doom pickup.
Double Doom. They've got Double Doom. Oh, man. That's looking pretty scary.
Ooh. Okay, last time this combination was picked up, I don't think we saw a single one, though. Like, it's not the easiest Grimstroke combo to make work. You kind of need a Doom Blink Dagger. The game has to be going decently for you, but you definitely have to respect the power level for sure.
It seems like a very good answer against the Necrophos and the Bane as well. If you can't cast city spells, you can't be regenning and just get chased down as well. Bane can't save anybody with a Nightmare or Fiend's Grip if he's doomed as well. But it is a very costly ability, though. It has a fantastically long cooldown. Same with Soulbind. So maybe the opportunity for Toons Reborn here is to go something a little bit faster. Something that doesn't worry about cooldowns.
Yeah, and Doom is an interesting hero as well. It did get buffed significantly for laning phase in the most recent patch. His armor and attack range both being increased. Armor, a very famous and traditional weakness of the hero, but the armor doesn't matter if you're laning against a Necrophos. So depending on how Toons Reborn set things up, you could look to punish this Doom. If it's an off-laner, obviously you have to try and give it a lane that it does okay in, because it is a hero you definitely want items on and levels sooner rather than later. And if it's a support Doom, which is, I think, how we've seen the hero played more recently when it is picked, I sort of put it in the same category as Clockwork. Like, these are heroes that need some amount of success, but also investing in them doesn't necessarily pay you back. They're not team fighting heroes. They initiate on one hero at a time, and they don't by themselves usually get the kill. So it's sort of, there's a reason they're fallen out of favor, is what I'm saying. It's not often worth investing in a core hero or a farm support so that they can then take other heroes from your team to go and kill someone one at a time.
Well, speaking of killing, we're going to get ourselves a Snap 5 picked up for Crossfire. Something very safe here. But the one thing I will point out, though, is Xavier did play this hero last week. The man picked up an axe and he started firing Andros at everyone he could see. So it could be a core offlane Sapphire, which we did see in Series 1. Team Oracle happy to pick it up himself. And then the answer there is to say, okay, no magic damage, no physical damage. We're going to heal you through it with Necrophos plus the Omni Knight. We're doubling down on healing. And Omni Knight is a hero we haven't seen at all this season.
Yeah, the Omni Knight is one of the, it's sort of like Doom. These are like very, very divisive all or nothing heroes, right? Because it's so pointed towards doing one thing. And if you can't make that thing good for you, then these heroes, which require a lot of investment, they become big draining holes in your teams, failed sunk costs. But Omni Knight also got buffed. The cast range on Purification, like, these are huge traditional weaknesses of the hero. So I think Ice Frog has seen that, like, these and a few other heroes are just perennially underpicked and decided to adjust their sort of risk reward a little bit so that they don't seem to fall as flat on their faces when they don't work out perfectly. And maybe Toons are believers in that. They're sort of saying this Omni Knight's good again now, and they are putting together a very intimidating kind of test for Crossfire. If you can't deal enough damage to puncture this heavy healing lineup, they're going to roll over you, as we saw in game 1 of the first series. But Morphling definitely contributing some damage to that equation.
Oh, yeah, and he can basically steal every single thing Omni Knight brings at you, too. You want the Heavenly Grace for yourself, but Morphling can steal it from you, get some more regen, some more right-click. So it seems like a pretty good Morphling game overall, really. I mean, even if you get Nightmare, you can Strength Morph. Even if you're Reaper, you can Strength Morph. It's a pretty good situation so far. Would you be worried with your heroes from Toons Reborn here? Because they don't even have the best control themselves.
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, this Morphling hero can struggle a little bit against the core abilities. Like Necro Ult and Bane Ult are both pretty good, but Morphling is also one of the best Linken's buyers in Dota 2, and these are two of the best heroes to buy Linken's against. So, you know, I think that's what Crossfire are thinking of. Is you did need a high damage carry, especially, you know, if you're considering the Snapfire core. I don't think they are. I think Snapfire core, both of those games we've seen it in, have had some very out there drafts. I think this is just going to be the classic support. But either way, this Morphling has the potential to put out enough damage that their last pick doesn't also need to be like a hard carry. They can go for a team fighter and just put it all on Morphling's shoulders to pump out the damage in the mid to late game.
Dire team ban.
And speaking of somebody who likes to pump out some damage, Luna getting picked up by Toons Reborn hasn't been the most popular hero this season at all, but I believe when it has played, it has been able to dominate, and they do have some pretty good buffs in the back of it. So maybe Toons Reborn, they're going for a bit of a pseudo-pushing lineup, able to just take down your towers and potentially out-farm the Morphling.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, it's interesting. Luna has a little bit of flexibility in that she's a decent laner and she farms fast enough that you can kind of pick your timing. People have been, you know, really working on diversifying the build path with the advent of Aghanim's as like an item that people take seriously on the hero and combining it into the traditional carry builds. But Luna's still a fairly linear hero, and I think that's why teams shy away from it. Regardless of that, though, when teams have picked it up, its win rate's quite high, and it only got buffed in this patch. So it feels as though you know, Luna is definitely a strong hero to pick up and is going to be lending a lot of damage to what was otherwise like a very defensive-looking draft. So that's the pusher that they needed. Their death ball is almost complete. I'd love to see another tanky frontliner or some sort of like X-Factor damaging support like a Skyrath.
Ooh, that would be good. Silence Burst against the Morphling would be pretty scary here, but Crossfire, they're going to be thinking about their ban for quite a while. I'm going to put an idea out here. I've been seeing a few pubs, a few high Immortal pubs so far, and they've been playing Doom in the mid lane.
Okay. I don't mind that, right? Because the hero has like its traditional weaknesses in the laning phase, but they mostly amount to being a hero that gets all-in on, and it doesn't really do anything in the early game when it gets jumped by 2 or 3 heroes because it's got defensive and farming abilities. So now it has a bit more attack range and armor. You're not going to be as harassed as badly by your 1v1 mid lane opponent, and they're not going to have that same capacity to like push you out of lane to your base, meaning the Doom is just going to be able to accelerate farm like he's always wanted to. I don't mind that idea at all. And it does mean, you know, I'm wondering who plays the Morphling in that case, because it doesn't feel like a traditional Baosu hero. I feel like he might have to tone down his play a little bit to succeed on something like a Morphling. But, I mean, we've seen Baosu play more traditional farming carries before. It's not always the Weaver and the Slark. So I would have faith in them to do that. And that leaves their offlane open.
All right. Well, do you have faith in the Luna IO?
The Luna, I mean, this is all in, right? This is just ultimate death ball. It's a cheese draft. This is a cheese draft, 100%. It's not a Huskar or a Brood, but like when you look at these heroes all together, they have one mode where they are effective, and they are like 100 overall in that, 0 everything else. They got like a 10 in laning. They're just like, we're gonna try and make sure that at least the Luna is gonna be okay. Everyone else can lose their lanes, whatever. Necro hopefully does fine. We're gonna make a 1v1 lane matchup for him somewhere. We're gonna stack camps in the jungle with this IO, and the Luna's gonna go do them as our whole team stands next to her, and she's gonna buy a BKB, and then we're gonna run down mid, like as 5 heroes, and that's gonna be the game one way or the other. I don't mind it.
Fair enough. It sounds like a pretty good strategy, but then again, it is kind of one note.
Hold on, I described the best case scenario. Have you ever heard that no plan survives contact with the enemy?
Well, hopefully this one does, because it seems like Crossfire have a few different notes to play. In fact, they've got many notes to play. They've got so many different lanes that they can go for. I mean, isn't there... Could they just pick one hero that stops this entire process?
I think
keeps
they
the
want
waves
Aroma.
running?
If they can grab like an Earth Spirit and they actually do want to do like that offlane Snapfire, I think it would help them a lot. I think what you want to do, like this Toons Reborn, they picked a greedy draft. We saw how that works out in the first series. They're going to be stretched thin, just heroes anchored to their lanes, all healing each other and trying to get creeps. If you have a mobile killing hero that just rotates constantly between lanes, catching heroes out of position and adding that +1 that allows for kills, you are going to be able to just farm them potentially. But they go for the Zeus instead. He doesn't even need to be in the lane to be the +1.
Nope. It can be anywhere he wants, and he can farm every single hero on the map. It is looking pretty scary. Oh, actually, am I seeing something funky here? Is Gachi playing Io?
Okay, maybe the core IO. Let me hang on. I'm opening the patch notes.
Yeah.
Where's IO?
Hold on.
You're right. This is
Why
now
don't we
two
out?
IOs, 2 core IOs and 2
Is
Series
this
E.
just a dominance
Okay.
play? Yeah.
It may be a we've just been officially eliminated from the tournament. Let's go for it, fellas. Play. But I mean, to give this some credit, IO's base movement speed increased from 280 to 320. That's the largest move speed increase I've ever seen.
40. That's pretty good.
40 move speed. That's like IO starts with boots now, and then he can buy more boots compared to what he was previously. So that's pretty impressive, I must say. Does it make me suddenly believe in this as like a core hero? If it was ever going to be, I guess it's in the overhealing lineup, right? Like you're really, really multiplying the value of this Necro and Omni.
Well, the thing about the other side is Moops is back. And he's playing crazy support roles again. It's a support Omni night. So we're keeping this variability up. I mean, he doesn't have a stun. Maybe Luna can make up for it, but it seems like the support combo is really just going to be relying on Nightmare to set everything up. You just put the Nightmare there and surround them.
Yeah, the Omni Knight is certainly a vulnerable pick, but honestly, compared to what Moops has been playing the rest of the season, it's almost conventional, right? Like, the main reason this isn't a support hero is because of how greedy and item and level dependent the hero is, and how the spells tend to not work out in most laning phases, right? It's sort of like a support that you have to play as your core. In some ways. So, putting it in your support role is basically just taking a big risk and saying, I hope you don't punish this during the lane.
Fingers crossed. It might go well. Who knows? Okay, maybe Bowser's not in the best mood, but maybe they'll let him farm a few times. I don't know. They got a whole bunch of regen on a Necrophos, and it doesn't seem like the greatest Necrophos lane in the world. I feel like he just moves in, and then he just gets spammed on out. And even this pressure from Xavier on the Doom, the lanes just seem a whole bunch safer from Crossfire here.
Yeah, Crossfire, I mean, we've seen time and again teams sort of work their way into an advantage by drafting strong lanes, and I wonder whether even this Doom pick got forced out of the mid lane. The Necro got forced out of the mid lane by the Zeus pick, where if this wasn't ordered to be a core or a mid lane IO, it could have been just a desperate response to try and get a winning lane, for this Necrophos on ESPX. So who knows about that? But one thing I did want to bring up for that core, the support Omni Knight, as the team actually move in and stop me from talking. On the top side,
don't worry about it. It's all good. Joto's going to take a whole bunch of smack to the face with the early point in the little shredder. That looks like it's shredding up Johto. Actually, we're going to get a little bit of burning coming out as we move on through. Keep the Johto back and go straight for Aquarium as well. So the regen is going to be used on Xavier. He didn't go to devour first point, but he's got the damage onto this Luna, keeping her back. So good trade for Crossfire. Able to take the runes for Crossfire and are not giving away any first blood.
Yeah, the one thing that I wanted to add in terms of the Omni Knight buff specifically, one of the main reasons why this hero is not normally played as a proper support is that his ranges on his powerful supporting skills were so short that the hero was often too vulnerable if it didn't have items and couldn't use those skills effectively in a fight. The buffs he got this patch were specifically to increase the radius of his degen aura and the range of his purification. So maybe that actually makes the difference and makes it a viable 4-pos, since you no longer need to be as close to the action to be effective.
Yeah, maybe they did take away the attack speed slow, so it's not as good as it used to be. Just slows everybody down a little bit and tries to purify, I guess, the creeps to secure last hits. It doesn't seem too bad as the levels come on, and so as long as they survive the laning stage here, it should work out for Toons Reborn. They just have to not fall apart here, I guess.
Yeah, and partnering it with ESPX on this Necrophos is a pretty inspired choice. It's kind of funny because I see Omni and Necro as kind of two sides of the same coin. They're odd core heroes that public players often try and play as supports and fail on because they have healing skills, and who are sort of often very awkward to fit into drafts. But weirdly, together they complement each other because the Omni Knight can't really support a vulnerable core in lane, but Necro is pretty hard to kill, and just being able to wander in and drop a purification on him when he's already, very hard to kill with the Ghost Shroud kind of just puts that lane out of reach. So they're going to probably get away with this one, I think.
Well, they're getting away. Johto's getting away with his life. Bowser's getting away with his moves. It's just met up between them. I like it. I love the aggressiveness coming out from Omni-Knight. Toads is actually taking up some great shot, but whoa, okay, way forward from Bowser, getting aggressive. Stroke of Fate off the mark. ESPX is fine. Bowser is being Bowser. It may be a morphling, but if he sees an opportunity for a potential kill, he's going straight on in.
I mean, look, in this lane you may as well, right? Because the weakness of this lane is what kill potential do these two have? You know, Moops is running around and slapping people with a hammer. There's no burst damage and no control coming out of this lane. All they do is just rebuff you. So
it is, but they're rebuffing Andros right now. Queer is giving it back. Does he have some more damage? So one chance comes out, keeps him alive, looking for the kill. Xavier's going to be careful himself, but can they do anything about it? They kick out both of these heroes out of the lane for a little bit, but it's a doom. He's got regen. Andros just got his courier to arrive, so I'm sure he's going to be able to take these creeps as well. So these things are looking pretty fine. But Luna, I mean, 9-4 so far, not too bad. IO 7-3 in the mid lane, probably the hardest mid lane. Maybe Zeus is having a pretty easy time. 14-7 on him, but we're getting farmed. We're not losing lives. It seems all right for now for Toons Reborn.
Yeah, I mean, it seems all right for Toons Reborn. Although Bowser is getting way more fun than the Luna currently. It sort of seems to be the character of these lanes. ESPX gets multi. Bowser
he's on the backside. He's gone.
Why would
won.
you do that?
They get it. He does the moves. Purification of the necrophone. Oh man, here's a tip.
Bowser, buddy, come on. I just said that. I just made a whole spiel about how they can't kill you. So you should go aggressive. And you end up going so aggressive that they just get to kill you. If you just keep attacking them until you run out of hit points, you will die, I suppose. Don't do that.
I mean, if the rule's there.
Oh, Bowser, you cad. No, look, it's not game ending by any means. He's 20 CS, but I mean you have to respect the purification and death pulse, right? Like the heal / damage swing from this lane is absurd. So you basically can't commit to trying to kill them except by inches. You have to very, very carefully and patiently whittle them down, I think. And he's just going in.
He's going to be careful himself. Hammer of Ghost is going to be there. Does absolutely no damage because I got so much HP on the Omni-Knight. Okay, Inswell is going to come, try and stun somebody. Hits moves. Bowser is getting back to safety, but now Tobes are getting slowly beaten down by the Omni-Knight. But speaking of being beaten down, Luna dies in the bottom lane. Xavier takes it out while Bowser's got basically no HP. Your Luna is dead and not farming a single creep. Which, speaking of creeps, she's only got 10 last hits to Xavier's 21.
Yeah, I mean, initially I put this down as the character of the lanes, and the top lane was going to be more passive and the bottom lane was fighting, but it looked like Luna was actually pushing the Crossfire heroes out of the lane, and maybe she was going to be able to catch up on farm. That's not the case. Xavier, as you said, tons of regen on this Doom, and the you know, just the pressure of the Scorched Earth damage, I assume, and the you know, the Burning Blade. Luna doesn't have a lot of health, and Snapfire doesn't have heals in the early game, so hard for Aquarium to stick around in the lane.
Yeah, it seems like we're just trying to salvage these lanes by getting the few farms we can. Johto's constantly pulling to make sure the Luna gets something out of the farm, but at the same point in time, Andros pulls the lane back for Xavier. Reverie is just on the other side of the river. They're looking for vision, looking for an IO farming, and at the same point, Johto is stealing some runes. So both these teams are trying to make sure these lanes go all right from getting any advantages they can take. And the gold lead is only 1k between them. The levels are coming fine. Everything is good. The IO is 15-5. I mean, it's not amazing in the end. Xavier is literally chasing Aquarium under this tower, looking for some more kills. He survives for now, but he is out of regen. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be sitting behind us now for a very long time.
Yeah, this is just brutal. I mean, Luna is actually a pretty strong laning hero in some situations, right? The hero's got a lot of damage with the aura, and the beam is a decent nuke. But oh, hang on. The top lane.
Moves. Can he do it? He's running. Oh man, the sacrifice comes in. He goes on the vision and gets completely blown up. Bowser sees it. Bowser takes it. Gets killed. Now he's back. He's going to be slowed down himself. Okay. Nice. Bowser? Bowser? Stop doing this!
Bowser, buddy. You gotta stop. You're not on Weaver anymore. You can't just turn invisible and escape the consequences of your actions. I mean, look, nope. I don't think for trying to pressure this lane a little bit, and Morphling Strength Morph is very powerful in this sort of same way that these heal nukes are coming out of Toons Reborn. But once you die a couple of times, like, you gotta at some point give it up, right?
Yeah, what? Yeah, but now they're not giving up anything. They're going for more. Bouncy wants revenge. He doesn't want to let his death stand, so he just kicks the Necro out of his lane, boosts him hard all the way back. So Bouncy's back and feeling like a vengeance, but actually it's been the same for the time. We missed a couple of kills. Referee, he blew up Gachi. He blew up Johto right on after, got a double. A minute apart, so this Zeus is feeling empowered. He's got so much farm, and if you're looking at Toons Reborn squad, he's got so many people that he can just blow up instantly. So a fantastic start for a Zeus. It's feeling pretty scary for Toons Reborn here.
Yeah, Zeus is a terrific 10th pick hero. We've seen Referee play this hero before. We know that he knows how to play it and make a sometimes static-looking hero who seemed very dominant around the map. Hit his exact peak of power around level 7 there and got an Arcane Rune to boot. And at that point, you just have to sort of thank the Dota gods for being very nice to you by getting 2 kills with it.
Bowsuit's going for the kill, but he's being reaped. He's fine for now. Does he get the kill back? Carefully races there. Going to purge up the sun for a couple seconds. Going to be careful. He's only got so much strength. More he can go. Is Bowsuit dead? Is Bowsuit dead? He's gone! But so is the Necrophos. Reverie in the mid lane actually looks top for a sec. Presses his ult. Blows the Necrophos away. But then Bowsuit takes a dive again and buys back. He's back. I guess that's one way to get back to your lane a little bit quicker.
Moves with the ultra-effective psychological warfare, tipping Bowsuit and causing him to buy back on the carry. Meanwhile,
it doesn't cost him too much because they get himself on Luna. Nice nightmare to save, but I think that means you killed yourself. Because Xavier ain't done. Trees don't hide you from the big man. You take a tower shots back. Johto wants it. Blast in the face. He's put down 2. Double kill. TP coming in, but who is it? It's the Omni Knight. It's everybody's favorite friend, but he's got nothing to do.
You're like, oh man, look at that low hit point Doom. This is going to be a great counter rotation. A little slow, but it's like the Omni Knight shows us like, wait, what do you do? You don't do anything. And speaking of not doing anything...
High five, but mid. Alright. Oh. Okay, Gachi almost survived that nice little juke, but the haste from the Zeus is too much. Everybody's mid, though. The entire party's come against Luna, against the farm, and... Oh, man, it is starting to feel rough. We're getting close to the 10-minute mark. I mean, okay, Omni Knight tip it into die, I guess. He gets Andrew kill. And his courier. Give him a double.
Tip him. Someone tip him. After that, come on. I think Bowsuit already tipped the Omni Knight, so he unfortunately will have it on cooldown, but his teammate, this is where you need to be a good support and tip for your carry, right? Like, you gotta throw that back in his face. That's just basic.
Yeah, that's what Toads tips it for. Like, if he's not using them, he might as well just give him to Bowsuit, because Bowsuit's looking to use him as much as he can. This game's feeling a little bit like Clown Search, just people doing what they need to do. Xavier is still dominating this bottom lane, but I mean, it seems rough because when I go back, I'm like, okay, your cores on the other side are going to be doing stuff, but your cores are an Io and a Luna. And Io's not doing too hot, Luna's not doing too hot, Necrophos ain't doing too hot.
We've lost 2.5 lanes here, and the third lane, I mean, the Necrophos is a good hero to have strong in the mid game, so they're not completely out of it, but they are now starting to even give up that advantage. Like, this is the other difficulty of Omni Knight, right? Like, even if you find a lane where the Omni Knight is at home and can survive and his carry doesn't get killed for it, he can't rotate. And now we see Aquarium maybe getting a kill here. Okay, get something back. Picks off Andrew. That is the Eclipse. And
Moves is gone for Reverie, though. Oh, the Temple of Grace is not Repel. It does not give you magic immunity, my friend. But the Soul Bind is keeping him back, and now Zeus is looking to die, takes a dive, and now Xavier coming in, but a save! The relocate to get them out. They're sacrificing the Luna, though. Moves went to the high ground with the Io to save the Omni Knight, who's still being chased and still being doomed, who comes back to just feed his kill to Xavier. Shockwave gets it, gets it coming. Johto save it. They deny him. Gachi denies him. No kill on moves. You don't get yourself an Omni Knight.
It's Full Metal Jacket, the famous war movie scene where you have to watch your friend like get mortared to death, you know, instead as you were trying to save him. That's what's just happened right there. The Mortimer's kiss is plummeting onto your core. The poor Bane Elemental, once again, you know, like with the Doom earlier, powerless to help his cause, and unfortunately this is just not working out for Toons. Their draft was very interesting, but like this. I mean, I don't know about this core IO. I don't know if I would have watched the Lord Boons game before and said, that's it, that's the hero we need to smash pick every draft, and it's being punished actually way harder here by this Reverie Zeus, even with him getting slightly out of position to start the fight, or maybe Xavier being slow to rotate over, I'm not sure which. Looked like a miscommunication. They're still able to easily mop things up and claim a stronger lead going into this mid-game.
Oh, I was gonna say, it seems like the matchup is really just shutting down Gachi. I don't think they were expecting the Zeus at all. The Zeus has just shut down any chance that, even as an amazing player he might be on the IO, he can't flaunt that because he just got destroyed in the lane. Every single time he came up, he just got burst damage down to no HP. He had to go back, regen a bit, and his stacks, they're being taken too. So who are we enabling here, though? The Luna or the IO? Because both of them are so far behind.
I think we've seen, well, even in the first things of all, even in the Oracle game where they drafted this core IO, they enabled that with all of their might, and it still took ages to come online. It looks like it's kind of a tricky hero to build around because you can't really accelerate that timing. You need both the Ags and the talent, and it's just going to take a while. So even though it's kind of a vulnerable hero, you can't all in on it, I don't think, with that sort of draft. So I would want to say it's still the Luna, but the Luna, unfortunately, this lane that I'm sure they hoped was strong enough, for whatever reason, turned out not to be. Maybe it's just a lane mechanics thing. Xavier has been so strong this whole season. Wouldn't be surprised to see this Doom hero that people are not used to playing against in his hands, getting a bit better of a lane than he should. But it has meant that now Toons don't really have anywhere to go with their draft.
Radiant structures are
Well,
fortified.
Luna trying to set up a gang bottom. He was hiding in a tree, waiting for Andros to come a little bit forward, but nah, never happened. Just more wasted time, while Bowser has no wasted time as he just hits your tier 1 tower. Jota comes in. Fiend's Grip being used. He is not Strength Morphin. Oh no, he is Strength Morphin, so he's absolutely fine. We bring everybody in, we put the Reaper down, and we take him down. Bowser's gone.
Wow.
73. It's a 13-minute mark, 70 seconds.
That was a really nice relocate because they made the snap decision of actually we can probably Reapers him, but by that point, if you try and teleport, your Bane just TP'd to that tower, so there's not enough time for people to come in, and that's something that high-level players account for, especially when you're on a hard-to-kill slippery hero like Morphling. You're like, well, the first hero to come in can't kill me, and the second and third heroes are going to take ages to get here, so I'm fine, but the relocate, they all show up at once, and unfortunately, Bowser's going to have to be a bit more careful in this next
Lips is being used, but Zeus turns it right on back. You get toes, but Xavier is unkillable as Andros rains down the pain from above, crushes you with a cookie, and maybe you put a ghost shroud for now, but it looks like you're about to turn into a ghost as Xavier is on a mega kill streak. Oh my man, he's not even done. He's just chasing Gachi around the map. Gachi has got the Helmet of Dominator at least, but he's going Maelstrom, MKB, BKB. No acceptors, just right-click focus, but still, any item that he's looking for doesn't seem like it's going to come in time.
Yeah, it just doesn't. I don't know that this IO, like, especially with the core, I mean, with the Luna, right, it makes sense. You want to be pairing it with another core to get maximum use out of the overpower, but that, like, it's not working out this game, to say the least. Like, the Luna and the IO are both shut down, so neither of them is going to be getting a lot, and they don't have a lot of explosive damage potential to really handle these team fights. We mentioned before, Luna's short range, the fact that she doesn't have any utility or stun or anything on her skills, she's just got this ultimate to play with, means that she is a very all-in sort of hero, and if you can't handle the enemy cores toe-to-toe in a fight, and this Doom and Zeus are certainly proving that, the hero doesn't do very much. Her only recourse is to try and farm faster than you to catch up to the point where she can go toe-to-toe, and Crossfire are just mercilessly closing off the map. We're a very long way off that point.
It is worrying. I mean, they are split up at this point. Crossfire have 3 heroes in the bottom lane. Bouncer is still top. Reverie is still mid. But then again, it is just a Zeus. He doesn't need to exactly be there to have an impact. But Moops is finding Toads. Maybe you take it. Sounds like an Omni Knight. He can't, I guess, run at you. I mean, he still could, but I guess he doesn't purify, and maybe you just take Toads for your trouble with the Reaper's side pin to get it. Don't get it. One charge comes out. He's good to go. You can't find it yet. Is he actually going to get out? Please. Please kill the man. No, he's fine. Topes is good. Your Reaper's now on cooldown now. Maybe Andros gets traded. Ganchi, he's looking to get Bouncer, but Bouncer don't care. Bouncer hits your creep. Feeds grip on Andros, but the reinforcements are coming in. Purification doesn't do much. Zeus ult is insane. It just cuts him the other way, and Andros didn't die, so he's just turning it down, turning around, and making it rain. Necrophos is running. Toons Reborn are just feeling it as they get crossed by Crossfire. They just wanted a simple pick off on Tobes. They wanted to take the second pick off on Andros. They get neither, and they lose 3, and it's looking like they're losing all hope.
I mean, this lineup is completely collapsing, and that was a very desperate and kind of even already despairing, half-hearted attempt at some kills. That without their Luna farmed and their IO secondarily, they just don't have much damage, right? They basically only have these ultimates, and I mean, maybe with a level 2 Reapers, they would have got that kill. And it's not wrong to go for it to try and just get your first quick kill and bust it out, but, you know, they don't have the damage. They just don't have the damage in this draft. That is the flaw of their draft, the weakness of their draft. They have to be as 5, as a unit. I mentioned it's such a one-dimensional draft, and this is why we usually don't see that, because now what do? You know, that one dimension has been closed off. And so, you know, all of these heroes, they're meant to all heal each other and stay alive forever, but that's just not worth doing when you don't deal any damage. And Crossfire have even surpassed that by bringing so much magic damage that we're really not even seeing that supposed invulnerability come into play.
No, it seems impossible. The regen isn't coming into play because you don't have the points or the teamwork to get there, because you're just trying to get those items. And yeah, I'm trying to think of ways for them to really get back in, because it just seems like Crossfire not giving opportunities. Reverie is constantly smoking up, constantly trying to find you, has the blink tag again to a better position, but maybe you don't want to jump into the entire teams of Toons Reborn unless you have reinforcements who are looking for it. Tobes has a soulbind, won't find a soulbind, and now at least maybe Crossfire don't get anything out of this rotation between the 4 of them, and a little bit of opportunity for Toons Reborn to farm something, but still, your Maelstrom is being picked up at 17 minutes in. Baosu, it's hunting. He's finding it. He's found news, but they want the Luna. They got the Soulbun. They jump Baosu on and blow them away. Double kill.
Yeah, that's
my man.
It's very surprising to me that the Luna chose to stick around in the lane there, even with the Omni Knight. You're like, oh, well, my bodyguard's here to back me up, but right, like, you know how powerful this Dire team is, right? Like, they are disintegrating you right through this. Like, this is almost as heavy as you can go in terms of healing and sustainability, and I don't know whether they've missed their time to have, like, pipes or something that they need to try and offset this magical damage, but right now their lineup is just not functioning in the one area it's supposed to be strong. You have to acknowledge that. You can't just assume you're going to be okay because you've got your one Omni Knight with you. They just collapse on the Luna and kill her. And what I was going to say, GTH, was in the past, I've been very negative about these sorts of early lineups when they miss their timing, because sometimes in Dota, it's just very hard to see a team coming back. Let's actually get dived on some more behind the towers.
Nightmare Dodge just blown up. He's gone. Double kill. Gone away. Creep, please stay alive. No, Reverie's got to blink into your base to get that 200 gold. Reverie wants to get paid, and he gets paid big. It's 16k in 18 minutes. Towers going down. Control of the map is all yours, and Io is farming with his Maelstrom.
They're better be paying Reverie. He just needs to win games for Crossfire, but I mean, in the middle of all these heroes dying, I'm trying to say that Toons Reborn do have a way back into this game, and it's the Luna, right? Her pace she picked up a Mom, so her pace of farm is the fastest of any hero on the map, and she is still kind of close to the Morphling. The Zeus and the Doom, their net worth is in the stratosphere, but those heroes are not really super late game carry heroes. So theoretically, if you can somehow make enough space, the Luna is able to get out of her base and hit neutral camps. She can catch up to these core heroes, and if the game goes on long enough, even if she can't accelerate her farm, if the game just gets dragged out, her 6-slotted power with these supports, I think, is enough to take the game. I don't know if they can make it all the way there, though.
Please. Can they kill Tobes? Omni Knight can't keep him back. Tobes survives. Your smoke is gone.
It's a deathball lineup. They can't kill anything except towers and heroes who stand in them for a prolonged period.
All right, here we go. Heroes are standing next to the tower for a long period, but Xavier coming in with Doom finds it, and with the Eclipse, maybe they can get Xavier in turn. No, Baosu comes in, the Reaper comes out, GG gets called, and that's game done. That's game done. Towers thrown everywhere, all around the room, and Crossfire take the game.
Yeah, so credit to Toons. Like, it must be hard for them to go into tonight psyched up to play for their, finals chances, and then unfortunately, I mean, ultimately, it comes down to what happened earlier in the season. It looked like they might have a chance of getting in, but, the result of the Oracle game meant that they effectively don't anymore. And so now you have to bounce back from that sort of emotional hit that you built yourself up for and still play this series. They didn't give up. They drafted a real draft, but they drafted a very narrow idea of a draft. And while I mentioned that they could potentially play for the late game against a team like Crossfire, they are just not going to make the kind of mistakes or give you the kind of time and space you need to start, working on some distant plan B. You really just needed to not lose your lanes there. And for a while at the start, you remember, right, GTH, the lanes were not that terrible to begin with, but I think just strong play from Xavier on that Doombringer. I wish I got to see more of the laning phase almost from him. Really broke down the Luna's game plan, and unfortunately, this Zeus 10th pick devastated them. They almost didn't have a good matchup against it.
Well, they've had one emotional devastation before without same files, and after this game, I think they're going to be dealing with a dual devastation. But game 2 is coming up. We'll see how they handle it, because Toons Reborn can bounce back. We've seen it before, and we'll be seeing it after this short break. Folks, don't go anywhere. And we are back. It is game 2 time between Crossfire and Toons Reborn. Toons Reborn, they got to rethink their drafting strategy entering into game 2, because Crossfire had their number in every single lane. Maybe going a little bit too greedy with the Io Luna combination in the series against a high quality squad wasn't exactly the best idea.
I mean, it's easy to say that in hindsight, right? Like, we look at the draft and go, oh, that didn't work. What a bad draft. But, I mean, I like the idea that they were going for. It's a skill. Like I said, it's kind of a test. If you beat it, the lineup looks silly. But I could easily imagine a kind of game plan where those lanes go a little bit better and Toons Reborn get their items and all group up. And then, like, how do you kill a team through the combined regen of, like, Omni Knight, Necrophos, and Io all at once, and all empowering like a Luna who's just turreting out damage with glaives on your team the whole time. So like the lineup makes sense to me. I think what they erred was in their overall core selection. Like, okay, people seem to think that this core IO is worth trying. Sure, I'm prepared to accept that. You want to make sure that that core IO pays for itself by also picking another core that's kind of an IO partner. So normally that would be like a support IO with a partner. Now you have 2 cores. You're doubling up on the benefits of the tether and the overcharge. That makes sense. That's a good way to use the core IO and justify it as something you're giving farm to. But then, as you mentioned, it seemed like that Zeus pick, they didn't expect it, right? And the Zeus is a hard counter to the IO. So you're sort of like, okay, but how did they know to hard counter our IO? Because our IO mid was like such a totally out of left field move. But the problem is by picking Necrophos and then picking Luna, you've got 2 other heroes that also can't really mid against Zeus. So even though you've theoretically got this flexible pick where you're hiding the mid IO and you're going to try and catch them off guard, you have made it easy for them to draft an IO counter by drafting, like the hero you are flexing with is countered by the same stuff. If they had picked like a very different kind of mid laner, then I think they might have been able to set up a different set of lanes where the IO would have been favored, and then they get the farm that they need. But, these are the nuances of a draft that you maybe don't have when you're trying a strategy out for the first time.
Well, yeah, well, speaking of new chances, it is game 2 ready, getting straight into the action, getting straight into the drafting, and the CM is going to be the first pick from Crossfire here, so a little bit of flexibility on Tones to start, but it's the all-important first pick for Toons Reborn here. First up, it was the Bane, which, unfortunately, it really couldn't secure the lane for Toons Reborn. Do you think they need to go back for maybe, I mean, Grimstroke is on their field if they want to pick it up. Crossfire have left it on the board. Maybe if they want to go for something a little bit different here. Were you feeling the position file was a little bit lacking?
Radiant.
I think it's just what Bane Elemental is, where it's kind of just thereabouts, right? The hero is rarely going to make or break a game, especially when it's not combining anything explicitly. Here comes the Andros Pudge. Watch out, Toons. This is one of the highest win rates we've ever seen in the LPL. I can't remember seeing it lose. Have you?
No, I haven't. My brain is scratching for it, but then again, it wants to remove all images of the Pudge as fast as it possibly can, but Crossfire not letting me. And Toons, they're throwing their own flavor. Void Spirit Visage.
All right.
Man.
Okay, Visage. That is a hero we haven't seen a lot in the last couple of patches either, so this is going to be very interesting. Also pretty decent at destroying Pudge, right? Like, those birds line up fairly well against what Pudge is bringing to the table. So nice counter pick there in a way. Not that people have their Pudge counters ready apparently. But yeah, to just get back to your earlier question about the Bane, I don't think it was the Bane's issue there. Lined up well against the Morphling. We saw them really employ the Fiend's Grip well in 1 or 2 situations where they're able to catch a hero out alone. I think the issue is more like the Luna pick is just real. There's a reason teams don't grab it a lot, and that's its laning phase can be overwhelmed by a very strong enemy lane. They really needed to have a more versatile second support. By having the Omni Knight, right, he can't rotate. That's the other problem that I never really got to cover. Even though they had one good lane for him, they weren't able to bring a hero to support the Luna when it was pressured, and that cost them.
So maybe Moops plays a traditional support here, potentially. I don't know.
I think it's
no trolls,
if you're
no
gonna play,
vipers.
Team ban.
you can play a greedy support, you can play a greedy mid, you can play a greedy laning carry, you can play a greedy 4 position. If you play 4 heroes with really greedy, vulnerable laning phases, it's very likely one or more of those lanes is going to collapse. Maybe tone it down a bit.
10 seconds remaining.
Well, I don't think Toons Reborn is a team that likes to tone down anything. I mean, that kind of speaks volumes with the Void Spirit Visage first 2 pickup. It's like, okay, we're here to play. Done. This is our first 2. Yeah. You can't ban the heroes that you want to ban anymore. On the board.
Yeah, draft around this, fellas. Where's your preparation for the Void Spirit Visage opening?
You're going to wait for the combination. It's a Remnant into 2 bird stuns with the setup, too. It's great. It kills maybe the CM, maybe not the Pudge. I mean, Andros Pudge is still seemingly unkillable.
Okay, so now we're going to play the Toons Reborn draft minigame in that which of these heroes that looks like a core pick is actually Moops' 4 position. My bet is Void Spirit.
Visage.
It's going to be Void Spirit.
Oh, hey.
You reckon Visage?
All right, I went Visage. Yeah, I'm going Visage.
Okay, all right. This is far more important to me than who wins guessing who wins the actual draft, because this is the real big brain prediction. Moops is a man of no fear and will play anything in 4 pos. That 4 position troll pick still haunts my dreams. You know, may my pubs never ever get that.
Sure, it's gonna get a few good memories. Yeah, I still vouch for it. Miss chance from the troll, a little bit extra slow as well. Ags on the troll, battle trance to give to any one of your cores. On paper, it might work.
On paper, a lot might work. That's the beauty of Dota, right? It's like such an open game. On paper, very few games are ever lost until the moment the throne explodes. Very few heroes are truly terrible. However, in practice, some heroes tend to succeed more often than others. Night Stalker, that's a hero we've seen succeed quite a bit.
Yeah, but then again, it seems like it's one of those heroes that needs help. I mean, it can chase people down with his ultimates, but its laning stage isn't the best. And now we're going to play that same old game. Maybe it is positioned for Night Stalker, the old school Night Stalker, but he might not be able to fly anymore, but he can still void. Oh, okay, Techies. I mean, I was going to talk about Night Stalker, but I mean, we can just talk about Techie's hook.
Okay, so Pudge Techies, very likely to be the combination they're shooting for, unless this is a mid Techies, but I believe no, we haven't seen Crossfire play this before, and FF5E2 are banning it, so maybe this is not a troll pick, although obviously, you know, Techies can kill people. Like, the biggest danger of this hero is underestimating. It's a real Dota hero ever since the now long ago remake when it got first ported over to Dota 2, and after TI5, I think, got completely remade. And with Pudge, you have the option to, you know, force heroes into mines even if they know where they are. You just, you know, set up these absolute death traps for Andros to utilize. I don't think they're going to be playing together necessarily from the start of the game, but it's just a combination to keep in mind as these 2 heroes are independently powerful and stronger together. But Night Stalker, not so great against the Techies. I think it's a Pudge counter, though. The AoE silence that he gains is very powerful.
Tide Hunter.
Wow.
Okay, so
all right.
Pudge, Tide, Techies, Crystal. What? Mid Techies?
So this is
maybe
I'm going to call this is going to be mid Tide Hunter and offlane Pudge or carry. This is going to be a carry Tide Hunter 1 or 2 position, right? So look at Toons' draft.
I don't mind carry Tide.
Again, they don't have damage. If you have a core Tide with like 4,000 health, and I mean, nowadays with the changes to Anchor Smasher a few patches ago, Tide actually makes use of carry items. Traditionally, a farmed Tide Hunter, he does farm extremely fast. It used to be that you built a lot of defensive items, and then, you know, you built into Refresher, and you're just this huge tank, and eventually people would like not only buy BKB, they would like run out of BKB charges, and you would become this like ultimate endgame team fighter. But nowadays, you don't even have to do that. You just build like Desolator, Daedalus, and run around with 4,000 health, man-fighting enemy carries. Pudge kind of functions the same way, where he's this unusually potent 1v1 core hero if you allow him space to farm. And in combination, they might just have like such a high combined health pool that the Toons Reborn lineup can't effectively handle them.
I mean, I'm liking what you're selling. It seems like such a smart idea, especially against these heroes that don't have the best armor. Visage doesn't exactly have armor himself. He has a passive that reduces damage. So if you take advantage of that, Tidehunter can just destroy you, especially since you can take away most of the cloak with some rot coming out from the Pudge. So you have some pretty good answers from Crossfire already. It seems like their draft may be a little bit clowny, a little bit jokey, but it works. On paper, it worked, and it's finished off by an IO. An IO, come on.
Yeah, it's a variant on the previous strat. This is just what teams are playing for. They're saying, what if we draft this unkillable lineup? I don't know whether people just have decided that like regen and strength heroes are OP this patch for whatever reason, but this seems to be what we're going for. I expected a Timbersaw, to be honest, as like the final pick. So just as like this invincible lineup that like, craps out damage and just wins in the mid game. IO gives you a little bit more dimensionality, and it means that we are potentially going to see a like 6-slotted IO empowered carry Tidehunter swinging that anchor like at unbelievable high speeds, and I do live for that. It takes me back to Dota 1. If you ever built Battle Fury Tidehunter, there's a very specific interaction in the Warcraft engine where it would change his attack animation and he would kind of just spin around like a blender. Good times. So, maybe we're recreating that now. Bowsu on the Tidehunter. I told you so. I called it. Carry Tide. Let's go, everybody.
All right, but I call the big one. I get the big one. Moops is playing position for Visage.
Yes, okay, you did get that one. You're right. Position for Visage. I mean, I think that's after the Tidehunter pick, honestly. I think they were, like, flexible, but the Tidehunter is, like, such a counter to mid-Visage, right? Because Tidehunter's second skill is Stout Shield, like a super Stout Shield. He's invulnerable to birds. So if you know that the enemy carry hero is, like, immune to your mid-hero's main source of damage, you got to change that up. And that's what flex drafts are all about.
Yeah, and speaking of which, they're going to take that IO back into the mid lane to show Teams Reborn how to do it. Then they're going to have a farm IO, a farm Tide, and everybody dies.
Yeah, triple strength core, and then you can have as greedy a pair of supports as you possibly like, because you just assume that like your core heroes are unkillable and nothing can go wrong. Just like for Toons Reborn in game 1.
Well, that didn't go too well for Toons Reborn, but
and their draft worked perfectly.
Yes, only positive memories coming forward. But it's game 2. This is going to be the last showing.
Absolutely. Toons Reborn going out with a bang, it looks like, here in the LPL Pro League. They unfortunately tonight have not had things go the way that they planned, but they have still made a really impressive showing in the back half of this season. And this is their final chance to really flex in a different sense on these heroes we don't normally see them play, and to punish Crossfire for this kind of clowny draft that we see out of them. It's the final week of the group stage, so this LPL season's been incredible. I'm glad we get to appreciate these last few games, even with the top 4 already locked in for our final series. A last little bit of levity before the serious stuff starts.
Oh yeah, this is when the most exciting games come out. This is when everything is just going to be hitting the walls, and especially the draft-wise, everything's already gone to the walls. But I guess while we have a little bit of downtime, because I'm assuming as soon as it hits the 1 minute mark, the game is going to be on for both these teams here. Let's thank one of our sponsors, the New Zealand Defence Force, actually, sponsoring this season of LPL, and they're actually recruiting for all members of the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, guys. And if you're looking for a little bit more information out there, just head to defensecareers.mil.nz for all your information needs. And we thank them for sponsoring this season of LPL, bringing this fantastic game in itself. The 5-man smoke top with a Techies, with a Carry Tide, with Andros on his Pudge, and they found Void. Oh man, he does not know what he found. Everybody is jumping for him, chasing him down. They got it. They take him down. He's already got stuck on the Pudge.
Aaron, did you already spend your skill point, buddy? Did you skill bash before walking into the fight? I was really expecting a time walk there. So many points. Yeah, they're funding this man's immortal sets. Tell me, GTH, while we're still here waiting for the game to truly start, who was that 5-man smoke gank sponsored by?
Oh, WD Black, the makers of
Improving.
fantastic hard drives.
Yeah,
You can
wow,
save
okay.
all your games as you want. And potentially, I'm thinking Void might need to save his, so maybe he should go down to the shops and pick himself up a WD Black hard drive himself.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, after this, Twitch Reborn are going to be playing some single-player games, so maybe a good time to invest in that Steam library. But Tobes, getting clapped back. So no shortage of aggression here. Yeah, revenge. And we're seeing a bit of the trash talk come out as well, a little bit already.
It's good. I like it. It's healthy between them. It shows these guys are here to play, and as soon as you lose somebody bottom, you're going to lose somebody top. Everybody's looking to fight. You're going to be trying to nudge out the potential, maybe, I don't know, it's going to be a slight potential for Basu to die and buy back. I don't know if it's going to happen. It might happen, but it seems quite rare.
Oh, Andros, buddy. We spent so much time talking about how good your Pudge is, and you throw that hook. Please.
Shameful. But Xavier are actually the off-lane techies, so they're going to be putting priority on Xavier's farm, it seems. In fact, he's already going to be half HP, so I think this is suicide potential. So Johto has to be scared himself. Aquarium's looking to join the fight, but he can't get there. There's trees around him. Xavier suicides. He's good to go.
They already threw the Pudge hook, so unfortunately that's the combo they were probably looking for. Now Andros is clearly hunting for it, but Aquarium trying to get in the way, body blocking the big butcher. Johto turns around and throws out the skills.
But he might get killed.
Surely. Yeah.
He's got him. He's killed him. He's taken him down. So that is more kills on the side. More stack, but actually more stacks for Andros, which is probably more scary than anything else because you don't want to give this Pudge a good start.
No, and I mean, look, I'm not convinced that either of these heroes is like a clear core for Crossfire. They're probably just going to get the farm and levels on whichever hero it's most convenient to. It kind of, all comes out in the wash between Pudge and Techies. They both love to have items. Both can kind of get away without them. As long as they're getting levels and kills, I'm sure Crossfire will be happy with this offlane. It's Basu who their focus is on, I think.
I'm cool. I know.
Oh yeah, pulling this wave constantly. Looks like Moves are going to try and secure a few last hits as Tobes, who's already stacked up a camp, is just pulling it on back. Moves going to be careful himself, and a nice little gunch going out from Basu. Basu chasing it. Oh man, that anchor smash destroys Visage. The only thing keeping him alive is the slow movement speed here. The fact that he's got little tiny stubby legs, and he can't chase down the Visage, but 1E deletes him.
Yeah, for those who aren't familiar with minus armor applied to heroes with a 0 armor, the graph for minus armor is funny shaped, and giving heroes negative armor when they have 0 is super effective. So that gush into the new physical damage anchor smash destroys Visage.
Oh, speaking of destroyed, Johto is dead. He gets caught on that. Moops is gone. He comes back in. Topes sends him packing a double kill in less than a minute for Crossfire. Really starting off strong in this game already. And we're only 3 minutes in. And Rivery, who was actually playing against Gunchi on the IO last game, is now 13-4 against 18-5. So a bit of a even start here. Doing a little bit better than Gunchi did at the early laning stage. But it seems like a better matchup for the IO this time.
Yeah, just not having to play against like the ultra consistent magical damage output of the Zeus is such a blessing for this IO, right? Because like we saw that move speed buff. I think that's what is prompting people to try and play it, especially in mid. It seems to be the same reason you were talking about mid doom before. It's actually Aquarium is just farming Xavier in this top lane. You probably don't want to feed the Void like this.
Probably not. They were only unfortunate. Oh, actually, a double kill. They get Andros as well.
Wow.
They're sending them back. The fighting is ready, so you've got to be pretty scared of Johto, who is able to keep that sustain pretty hardcore as well. So both these laning combinations pretty fearsome.
Yeah, and like I said, Reverie managing to get a much better laning matchup here because this increased move speed is very good. You can see you can easily move in and out of the creep wave. IO, of course, can fire off attacks freely without...
The hook gets him, but we're actually fighting on both lanes because Nightstalk is caught. He's going to get taken down by Bouncy. One right click from Topes should good. They're going to get Gachi in the middle of the perfect hook, but he's fine. He's good. He moves away. No, he's not. Topes actually tanks tower shots to get it. They're not letting anybody get away, even if they're just crawling back to safety. Xavier's trying to crawl out of this lane, but a little bit extra slow coming out from Nature's Grasp. But I don't think there's going to be too big of a kill potential. When he gets down to half HP, he can just look you in the eyes and blow up on your face. That gives a little bit of gold
for that commitment and that kill there. Like he's made a career out of playing these sorts of very subtle, no big play supports. He's not the Pudge players that it looks like.
The hook. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a work of art, and it's another kill.
There you go. That's how you do it.
Land that one. Makes up for it.
But yeah, like Tobes, that kind of commitment to get that kill into the Tower of Sand, that's the kind of thing you get by just playing these heroes over and over again. Just the absolute knowledge of how to get every little bit of efficiency out of them, and pays off for them in spades now as they rack up 2 quick kills.
Joto? Suicide! He gets it at dog eyes. I don't know what that was about.
I mean, look, Treant, sometimes you want to force your will. You punch for a lot of damage. I'm excited about that, but committing on the techies is a little...
He hooks Gachi. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
He's level 5. He makes it. He gets it. Another stack.
I mean, this game looks like for a lot of these players, it's primarily about having fun and showing off. And in that case, Pudge is like the tier 1 pick, right? Like, Andros is going to be the hero who's like flexing on them today, like landing all these hooks and setting up what I assume is going to be a ton of kills by the end of the day.
Oh, they're going for Bouncy though. You're talking about it. They want to prioritize his attention, but he's just turning to fight. He's not even dead. He's got one charge, but it's the hook again. The anchor smash turns it back right around, and now they're running as fast as they can out of this lane. Andros just marches forward with no fear and kicks them right on back. Baosu ain't even dead.
I would like to be really boring and draw attention to Baosu's specific item build. He has built a Wraith Band on Tidehunter, which might honestly be a first in the history of Dota, but I like it with the changes to how those items are statted.
Oh, he gets it again! Oh man, Andros, he's going for more. We're 6 minutes in. I'm pretty sure he's basically been there for every single kill but one.
Forget about Opa Dendi. Opa Andros. Divide.
They want Bounce. Bowser's not even dead from a Chronosphere. He's fine. He's good to go. You actually hit the ward once to kind of tonight, and Bowser is running. We're good. We're good to go. The slow is there. He's still moving. Andros in position. Ravage being used. Please don't turn it back. No! No, 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 no! Crossfire put him down.
Look, okay, I'm not saying that this exact Crossfire draft is something that should be running in the finals, but knowing what we know about Baosu and how he likes to play, I feel like this Tidehunter core might kind of be a hero for him. This is another, like, hero that really rewards you for doing Baosu things.
Yeah. Just hitting. Just standing there and hitting. Chasing people down and hitting them. Oh, it's working out fantastically. It seems kind of, actually, comparing to game 1, this looks kind of worse, in all honesty, on paper. The amount of pressure they've been able to put on the map here is immense. The gold lead is in their favor. This Pudge has such an acceleration, he's going to get another one. He's found Johto. Johto can't even get into the tree. And speaking of another stack, he's got it. He's dominating. He's even bigger than before.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point. The score looks really, really bad, and normally I'm here to say that like things aren't as bad as they appear on paper, but like, have you ever heard of the phrase that people go bankrupt in 2 ways, slowly and then very quickly? That's kind of how like feeding heroes in Dota works. You can give a hero 1, 2, 3, 4 kills, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win the game. But then at some point you look up and it's like 14-4, and more so even than this Pudge being so fun, your heroes just have no levels because they've like cumulatively been dead for so much of the game. And like once you realize that, like usually by that point you're actually out of the game. Like you're so far behind, the effect compounds itself. You can't back on the map. You can't get back on the map to farm, and the game's kind of over.
They're trying to kill Reverie. They can't do it. Tobes is in the area. Xavier jumps in, tries to save it, can't even do it. They're going to get a double kill. Maybe this is what you want. Gachi made the rotation in, going to get himself a triple. It took him a while. Andros is chasing down Johto in the back, looking for his own kill. He's got blood in his eyes, but they're going to get CM for theirs. A triple kill for Toons Reborn. Andros gets 1. Can he take on the entire team? It seems like, you know, biting off a bit more than you can chew, but it's Pudge. He loves to eat, and he moves on forward. You can't cancel this member, so he's just trying to eat you. The damage is adding up. The hook and up. He takes it with him. He gets him with him, and he gets a stack.
Andros falls down, holding up 2 middle fingers, collapsing under a pile of rock. This is a position for Pudge, just like effortlessly fights your Night Stalker to death and goes down, like happily, covered in flesh heap stacks. I mean, like, this is a pretty wacky, clowny game, but Crossfire, when we look at it in real terms, definitely far ahead. The Void Spirit, a definite light on the side of Toons Reborn, and the Faceless Void has enough kills from the laning phase that he's doing all right as well, but there is going to come a mid-game timing that is very strong for Crossfire, and they're setting themselves up for it beautifully with this Pudge.
It's Bex. Look, Baosu doesn't care because it's
Don't do
daytime.
this again.
He's good to go.
Yeah, okay. They remember what happened last time. They're like, wait, he has Ravage again, right? Maybe we should not run at him. Double Wraithband Tidehunter. Yes, let's go.
But he just hooked the Night Stalker again. Andros just keeps on getting it. He had vision. He had vision just for a second there. Oh, he's level 7 is scary. But Baosu is farming up fantastically.
Yeah.
I mean, can they kill Baosu?
Birds?
Like, look at this. This is their commitment with the birds. They're bringing in every.
If their team are around him, no. Like, they literally can't kill Baosu with support.
Well, they're going to try.
It may be
Andros in the area, going to find the birds. Moop's going to try and see him. The birds are hunting. It gets a little bit of slow coming out for a grave chill, but it doesn't seem like more is coming on. A 1-stun, 2-stuns, got you moving in. Big kill if they can get it, but he is very tanky. 14 sacks, can't do enough. Chronosphere comes in, but what are we going to bring? We're going to bring Rivery in with the relocate, but we're going to try and focus him down first. A little bit of regen coming out from this IO, but Baosu might be fine. He's running. No, he's good. Okay, Moops is gonna get the kill, the double kill, and under the tower we TP'd somebody in extra. Xavier waiting, he's baited, he's looking for more. Johto sacrificed themselves to the trees. All the trees crumble, but we're gonna get some more kills. Moops is strong, the birds are looking. We found Xavier again, he can't suicide twice. So he gets another kill back for Toons Reborn. They're getting some massive kills here, but now Andros has returned. He's got the hook, he's got the vision, he's got the stack, and now we're charging on forward. No dismember, level 10 on Gucci. Very hard kill to get yourself, but you're looking at a 15 stack pudge at the 11-minute mark. You're gonna try and kill him twice. The magic is good damage, and you put him down. A little bit of greed is gonna cost.
Yeah, Crossfire, I think they were the stronger team there, but they kind of didn't play the team fight as well as they probably would have hoped, right? Like, Reverie was just slow to come in on the IO. They chose to defend the Pudge, who got isolated between the two towers instead of under them. And Baosu, being half health already on the Tide and not having the team around him, and being kind of out of position where he was split between the enemy team, and his Pudge had to Ravage really early with no follow-up. So basically wasting the Ravage. And then the IO came in after the Pudge was already dead. Then the IO and the Tide ran different directions. So this combination where you're meant to energize the Tide and make him truly, truly unkillable didn't really pay off. Just a mess of a fight. But Crossfire will get another chance at it, and I assume show us the power of this combination.
And actually, for the XP difference right now, Void is level 10 compared to Baosu's level 8. So the XP is going advantage. I guess that's the issue when you have 3 people in your lane and a solo Void at top. And maybe they want to kill him here because the Ravage is going up in 33 seconds, and they have the potential with tomes in the area, but they're not going to do it. They're going to focus on mid and make sure that Andros gets hyped up even more empowered than he already is.
What the
Yeah, the difference between the Void and the Tide Heroes is so powerful that, like, even with that level advantage, the Void can't really do anything to Baosu. Stacking those Wraith Bands now that they don't just give stats anymore in terms of agility, which is, you know, confusing to see on a Tide, but they grant extra armor and attack speed. So that's actually, you know, pretty much perfect if you're trying to farm on Tide. You can supplement the Anchor Smash to farm it quicker, and the armor is really paying off. Oh, he hit the creep.
He hooked a creep, and that might cost him. He's good. All right.
Yeah, he tried.
Very close, though.
It's one of those weird situations where I was pretty sure I was going to hit the creep because it's kind of like running into the front of your hook, but, you know, it's kind of a janky skill. You may as well throw it out. And now we see the Meteor Hammer picked up. This has been, like, the real item of the patch ever since the first half of 7.26 dropped a few weeks ago. It's sort of like, it's become the primary farming item for a lot of heroes. Like, Midas gives you levels, but if you just want to hit creep camps and your hero is bad at that, the new Meteor Hammer is terrific.
Oh, yeah, it seems like it's going to be hyping up. It does seem like it's actually an extra disable on top of the Ravage. You Ravage, yeah, Meteor Hammer, you got even more control in the middle of a freezing field. It just synergizes so well with how you want to play.
Yeah, and now that it gives you regen on, like, significant regen on top of everything else, it's so effective for these heroes. It lets you constantly be on the map as Pudge, which is what you want to do. And if you're not using it to kill heroes, you can use it to keep up on your farm so you don't fall off because you're constantly looking for picks, which is a common pitfall for this style of hero.
And it seems like, well, you got to be careful now because they are biting off maybe a bit more than they can chew here between the two of them, and a response coming out from Toons Reborn here. I can even see the Void in the back. He's hiding right behind that tier 1 tower. He's charging for him with a Chronosphere. It seems like maybe Crossfire's greed is going to get the best of them, because Reverie, he doesn't have his Maelstrom yet. He's trying to poke at a tier 1 tower mid, and if you die too many times on the IO, which we saw from Gachi in game 1, you keep slowing down that acceleration that you want. You want your act at a good timing, you want your talents at a good timing, and every single kill on you is costly.
Yeah, I don't think that the kills are going to be as costly for Reverie as they were for Gachi in the last game, just because, like, the overall game went far worse for Toons Reborn. Like, all of their lanes failed, all of their cores got shut down, and so that made it really punishing to not have the Wisp be strong. In this case, even if your Wisp is not really online as soon as you'd hope, well, that's unfortunate, but he can still tether up to Baosu, and they're just going to fundamentally be much stronger than Toons were. They're going to tip into the tier 1 here and try to make a fight out of this, but are they going to be too late again?
They turned it. They hit everybody. It's a 5-man Ravage, but the Chronosphere turns it back the other way. Xavier jumps in the air onto Gachi, but Gachi dodges it completely. Freezing Field is going. It is melting, but it is gone. It is silenced. It is done. Gachi chasing in Reverie in the backside. Baosu is dead for a dead. Toons Reborn looking for the team wipe. The mines do nothing. They don't get a kill, but Reverie finally does it with a double. The IO does it.
Wow.
Oh, my man.
They were chasing down, they were like so confident. They were chasing that courier, and Reverie with the classic, call an ambulance, but not for me. Turns around, holds up his Maelstrom, and just nukes down those two heroes in a matter of seconds. That's a pretty free double kill. So, good stuff for Crossfire. I do want to slap them on the wrist, though. I'm frustrated a little. They aren't playing this line up to its full effectiveness. They have to give more respect to Toons' team fight. I don't understand why they aren't all just rotating to a lane and initiating as 5 heroes. Instead, they keep coming in piecemeal and not overlapping their team fighting skills, which wastes a lot of their potential. Oh, Moops, that's a big feed.
He tried to TP out. He wanted Xavier, but River was in the area, saves his life, and the TP out just ends up making the perfect location to plant a mine. So he is completely.
You made a big point about Visage and Gravekeeper's Cloak and having no armor, but doesn't Visage also have base 0 magic resist?
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Yeah, so I think that's actually, if you thought armor was bad, try not having magic resistance against remote mines.
Well, he found out the hard way. I like that Night Stalker's trying to demine the entire jungle in Viz, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be earning them too much, because everybody on the side of Crossfire were heading down to this bottom lane, maybe just aggressively playing at the tier 1. Xavier wants his tier 1 top, but we're going to be healing up, because guess what? We got a tree and protector, so these towers, if you don't take them down, we're just going to heal them right back on up. And Johto is making this push insanely annoying, but there was a tree planted. The mango tree gives him slight vision on the tree, and he's moving in for it. They can find it. They need control of it. Tobes, he's going to slow him down as well. EFX has come on in. The silence is there, but the overgrowth. Okay, it holds in place, but Freezing Field is turning it back the other way. Noops is coming. The birds are flying. Gachi in the area as well, not initiating yet. Waiting for a better opportunity, but there we go. The ascension has come. The vision is there. Can we get in? We do get a remnant. We're finding ourselves toast. We cut right between them. Noops get one, and Andros is trying to take his own weapon, but he ain't taking anybody to where he's going. All the way back to base. 33 seconds on him, and everybody's running while Night Stalker is just chasing you down with vision to relocate back to safety. Saves Baosu, but that fight was looking a little bit disastrous.
Yeah, unfortunately, they just, again, like Crossfire, on paper, their team fight is so strong, like they're so hard to kill. They have this great combination of ultimates. They can get a Ravage into a Freezing Field with the Techies blast off on it. The Pudge has follow-up disables, and it's very hard to initiate on them in a way that breaks that up unless Aquarium can hit a really strong Chronosphere off basically no setup. But the problem is that they aren't taking fights that way. They aren't moving as 5 in a death ball or smoke ganking or anything like that, or even defending as a group under their tower. They're starting the fights out, getting caught out of position in 2s and 3s, and they're trying to
Chronosphere on Xavier. Andros walks into it, but he's masked. Okay, we're good. That could have been a massive mistake.
Crossfire finally have 4 heroes in the same place at the same time, and I mean, I was frustrated that they weren't relocating sooner, that they weren't bringing more heroes to these fights. Now it seems like they're finally ready to group up, and I want to see how their team fight goes in that situation where they get to fight at full strength.
All right, now they're just walking at the void, knowing he has no Chronosphere. Gachi TPing in, but can he TP in time? The mine explodes onto him. He's gone. Gachi is going to be pinned down. The Frostbite, he needs to run back to safety. He double steps just to get away, but they can maybe keep on chasing. No, they're happy to take the void, take your tower. Gonna hook just in case you were there, but still massive kill on the void there.
Yeah, that was some unbelievable damage coming in from that mine. Just reminding us all how vulnerable Void is when he cannot jump away with the time walk. It's a very fragile agi hero for most of the game and slow to scale up, which is eventually going to be punished, it looks like, by this heavy strength hero lineup from Crossfire, right? They don't have to wait around. They're kind of just tanky enough that we can, as Andros did there, just roam in under the tower.
Yeah, he literally didn't care if Town hit him because he has so much HP, so much magic resistance. Anyway, he's not scared of whatever you throw out. Bast's not scared of a thing. He's running from your tier 2 tower from your side of the fountain. All right, that's how you do it. You send Gachi packing, and then you just say, hey, man, I'm here.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the advantages of Core Wisp, right? Like, if you get farmed enough, you can really abuse Relocate, but... you know, Gachi has been a quiet farmer so far this game, up to 9.5k net worth though, so hopefully we are finally going to, on the third try tonight, see an IO really take over the game from the core position.
Is under attack.
Well, he is farming up pretty well. This tower's going to be taken out to add a little bit extra gold to his coffers. Ravage is up, ready to fight whenever they need to. Chronosphere should be up in a couple seconds. Mooped tries to push out the mid lane, but then Reverie shows up, keeps him back. But these towers are going to be melting pretty fast because for whatever you want to say about techies in, say, team fights, laning stage, entire game situations, he's fantastic at pushing.
Yes, yeah, that's what oh, hang on. Team fight's happening now.
Oh, Gachi, he got caught. He's got to pick his choice. He gets back. He's double stepping, but he made a mistake. He did a tiny step. Bowsy is being pulled back in, but they're going to chase him down. He doesn't have a step for 17 seconds. Xavier jumping, Xavier taken, but Bowsy takes him down.
I was like watching Indiana Jones like run away from a boulder, like staying an inch ahead of those IO balls for a tantalizing second, but unfortunately there's not that much room to run at the side of the map, and the Void Spirit goes down. That's very painful. We were just talking about how Gachi was kind of keeping up and hanging in there as this quiet farmer, but now he's really taking a blow to the network there, losing a lot of reliable gold, and the Ravage comes out. Void!
No! It's gone! Kills breath out of him! Bowser gets... No, Xavier takes that gold to hook. Okay, he's gonna miss it, but they're gonna take some birds for your trouble. Always fantastic. Take birds away from Visage, because you can't do much without it. Nice Atos coming in, but what did you follow through? It's one void from Nightstalker, and he runs back to his high ground, and that is about it. Unless you get a little bit of slow from the gush. And he's a perfectly good hook, and Xavier jumps on top as a cherry on the cake, puts Nightstalker down with no buyback. So your towers are now getting ready to mount moves. Do not go forward. They're ready to kill you. They will kill you at any opportunity that they get.
Dire's middle tower.
That's why you have to respect these techies here. It's like you mentioned, it's strength in pushing. Oh my goodness, Andros.
It's good. Andros is just picking it up. He's got a free trip basically to the high ground there, and this is your tier 3 now open. Chronosphere is up, but your reinforcement ain't there.
The Alpha will buffing the damage. Like, Crossfire have done a great job of itemizing around the weaknesses of their lineup. They don't hit towers terrifically. They've got a bunch of items to help them take towers, and of course, as you mentioned, the techies really adding to this an extra dimension to this lineup, as well as providing, as we saw there, the counter initiation of the blast off. The cooldown is not that long anymore, and it just means that, like, even if you're like eyeing off these tanky strength cores and you want to go in on them, the moment you commit, you're going to get blast offed. Like, how can you possibly try that team fight?
Chronosphere being used defensively. He has to run from it. Nice one going in. Got to actually commit for a second for the fight for the void, but he runs back out the other way and is getting pulled back in. Maybe Andros gets dead, but he gets a dismember on the Gachi, holding him in place, taking a freezing field of space, and then the mines explode and blow Toons Reborn away. Xavier jumps in, misses a nice hook, but it doesn't even matter when he throws a mine on top and blows him up anyway. Gachi running as fast as he can. His base isn't even safe for him because he's got an IO, he's got balls and a watermelon chasing him down in his base. He gets back to his fountain, but his towers are looking ready to melt. Denied beats coming out from Reverie, and maybe they're just looking for the end. What more can you throw at them? Your Chronosphere is done. Your Ascension is gone. You're kind of emptying your tanks.
Yeah, and what's worse is that, much like when we saw that last Gas team fight out of FFY in the first game tonight, like, that was the team fight when Crossfire have none of their abilities. The techies blast off wasn't available due to mana and cooldowns. The Tidehunter had used Ravage. There really wasn't anything in the tank for them, and they still couldn't take a great team fight. Unfortunately, they're super dependent on this Chronosphere. It stops most of what Crossfire are trying to do, including even Xavier's counter initiation. But as you mentioned, forced to throw it out defensively, and then they just don't have the tools to fight. This Treant and Visage support duo have been really, really ineffectual. Unfortunately, I'm a huge Treant fan, but they just haven't lined up well against what Crossfire ended up doing. This really oddball draft, successfully exploiting a weakness in what Toons Reborn have picked.
Okay, we got 5 heroes chasing down Bowser. Bowser takes no damage, he pops his Ravage, he's just moving forward, and Reverie makes sure he doesn't take any damage in the back. Void getting kept back, doesn't have a Chronosphere, everyone's good, but Reverie's dead. That's pretty massive. That's 68 seconds, but Bowser's full HP and not taking a hit, but there you go, you got a Pulver's Kraken Shell to keep the Spirit Vessel back, but they've got another charge, I believe, in a couple more seconds, but Hook is fantastic. It lands perfectly on the Gachi, and they blow him up. He's got a buyback, 50 seconds, using it, coming back in the fight as they can, but everybody is so low. Johto, he throws in the towel again. Crossfire are doing it, they're cleaning up. Andros has a billion stacks on the budge, and these guys are going to be 2-0ing Toons Reborn. Crossfire playing insane.
Mola sends his regards. Moops tipping the fedora to his conqueror as Baosu takes the game out. What more can be said, really? That was a pretty fun game. Showed us the potential of some heroes, right? Like, that Techies does a lot of damage, it turns out. You give it around. Yeah. Andros, again, should probably not be given Pudge in a non-child safe environment. There's a lot of hooks flying around. People could get hurt. And that core Tidehunter, I think, is like the biggest takeaway. Like the Pudge is always going to be there as like a niche pick, but especially if people are looking for options to combine with the IO, I don't mind the core Tide. He fulfills this rare kind of like dual role of both being a primary frontliner and a really high damage output hero without really losing out much on either front, especially when you get the buffs from the IO. So maybe we'll see Baosu play that again, or maybe that was just a one-off to kind of flex a bit on him. We won't know until the next couple of weeks when we get finals. But before then, we have one more series, I believe.
That is true. We do have a series tonight, but our series tonight, the series 1, series 2 have been fantastic. Like, really, FFY V2 proven to be massive, taking the game off Oracle AU, the team that looked undefeatable except for one time. And speaking of that one time they got defeated by, it was Crossfire who just 2-0'd Toons Reborn, who had a slight flicker of hope tonight to make the semi-finals, but it was dashed by FFY V2 and then smashed by Crossfire.
Yeah, too little, too late for the Toons in the end. Their rough start to the season really coming back to haunt them at the end in some, very tough games. And FFY V2, they recovered some of their original form. So it looked like they'd been slipping, but we knew that they had it in them. And honestly, on the form that they showed tonight, they do deserve to take that 4th final spot. So as sad as it is that someone has to miss out, I'm super excited to see this top 4. This is going to be by far the most competitive LPL finals, LPL Pro finals we have ever seen for Dota 2.
That is right. Oracle, Crossfire, Need Uprising, FFY V2, dominant every single week, able to bring the plays. It is looking insane, but speaking of insane, we're not even done with this week yet. We've still got games coming up tomorrow night, and it's looking still pretty good. Need Uprising, one of these finalists going up against Eternal Discord, who love to bring it in these series. They may not be making it through to the semi-finals, but their games are absolutely insane when they do.
Yeah, it's almost become an LPL Pro tradition, funnily enough, that we see Internal Discord sort of playing the last game of the season, and it very rarely matters, at least on their end, as far as like finals qualification goes, but nevertheless, they are some of the most fun games of every LPL Pro season. I'm always excited to wait for them, and especially on a new patch, right? Like, who knows what they're going to bust out, and it does mean that it's a valuable opportunity for Neats Uprising, right? This is the only game set that they get to play in LPL before the finals start, and there's no room for error in the finals. So this is their big chance. If they have something they want to try out sneakily, like say the Baosu Core Pudge, whatever their equivalent is, you can sneak it in under these games and everyone's going to dismiss it and go, they were just playing for fun, there were no stakes, that can't be that serious. And then next week in the finals, bam, pick it up.
Oh man, you just raised the stakes for me. I was already excited to see Eternal Discord just play amazing Dota tomorrow, but Need Uprising throwing down some crazy rounds in a new patch. I really can't wait, but that's all the action here from us here tonight at LPL, but we do have more action coming up, 8:30 tomorrow night. Need Uprising versus Eternal Discord. It is going to be massive. You guys are going to be there, and we'll see you there. Bright and early here at LPL Season 2. Catch you then.